Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the show today. Very happy to have you here. It is very rainy, wet, gloomy day for me. Then again, I am in the rainy season. How much coffee I got? Let me take a look. About a half a cup. Let me check it.
Uh-oh, he's checking it.
It's
I don't know what he's
lukewarm.
checking because
It's
my
lukewarm.
thing was off.
It's lukewarm. Lukewarm. But nevertheless, it's been an interesting week since last we spoke.
It's been a
There,
fun one.
it has been. I've been told officially
Yep.
by the Los Angeles Police Department. They tell me they put out an official statement for some reason. You wouldn't from the statement you wouldn't understand why they put the statement out, but I'll read it for you.
Yep.
Peaceful without incident.
Ah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
One of them peaceful, mostly
Oh no
fiery,
no
but
no no.
mostly peaceful protest situations. Is
They
that what we got
didn't.
going?
They didn't even bother with the mostly. Just peaceful without
Just straight
incident.
peaceful.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh-oh.
yeah.
Well, it's escalated now.
Well,
Now we're really in trouble.
you know, but it's like, okay, if it's peaceful without incident, then why do you need to put out a report?
Yeah.
Why is there a briefing or a statement at all? If it's peaceful and without incident, as protests should be, because it does say, unbeknownst to all these Democrats who ask, well, where does it say that protesting has to be peaceful? Well, the Constitution.
Well, common fucking sense. That's
Yeah,
where it
well,
says
that
that.
too,
Like,
but it is
it's not a
written.
protest if it's violent, then it's a riot.
That's
They have
right.
words mean
That's right.
things, people. They have.
That's
And
right.
listen, there's times when rioting is justified. The founders of this country,
They
they
were
got into some
riotous.
shenanigans.
They were.
Yeah, they got into some so there are times. Well, I will agree with the left that that is a completely valid form of protest. However, being kicked out of a country you have no right being in is not one of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the founders dressed up like Indians and threw
That's
tea
right.
into water. Quite
They did.
riotous. But yeah, the one that's the funniest thing to me is so many of them are waving the Mexican flag.
Yes, we go to Mexico. It's right there.
I
It's not
know
hard to
it's
fly.
like, well, maybe you didn't get the memo. Maybe you missed that day.
Yeah.
Because you're somehow opposing ICE deportation with Mexican flags and other countries as well, especially
Yeah.
that Palestinian one. They like that one. I don't know what the Palestinians have to do with America,
Or our border.
you know, but
I mean, I can understand a little bit about our alliance with Israel, and some people find that a very grave sin. Okay, fine, but
sure.
the border situation has nothing to do with any of that. So what do we do?
Yeah,
That's
there
like
are separate issues.
that's like going to a football game. You go to a football game and you wear the colors of none of the teams that are playing.
Yeah.
Nobody's
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah. Yeah. That seems to be about it. No, that's good. That's good. But yeah, no, they yeah, and I seen dumb old Maxine Waters out there,
Oh,
and
man.
just saying the dumbest shit possible, dude. I mean, absolute
The
ridiculous.
truth of the matter is, they're doing the right. Trump's doing mostly the right thing here. It keeps, from what I saw when I was driving, or actually when I got home. Mr. Hesgeth, or how do you say that name? How do you
Hegseth,
say his name? Hexeth.
Hegseth,
Hegseth. It just doesn't.
Hegseth.
That is just terrible alliteration. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, um, posted from the president of the United States of America that basically he has escalated it to everybody. Every department now has been given authority to do whatever they need to do to stop any and all rioting and continue the deportation operations. Uh, and here's the thing. No one, I don't care how many federal judges try and say he can't. Sorry, we already had this battle, guys. The
Yeah,
president absolutely has this authority. You gave it to him so you could desegregate the schools. Sorry, you did. He can absolutely call up the military when he needs to. He can do it. Done. There was a time in this country, people forget this because we think of the 50s as this idyllic time and what have you, in the early 60s before the hippies really got involved. But there was a time in this country where, at bayonet point, students were forced to go to school with each other because they didn't want to go to school with black kids.
oh no,
They were
yeah.
forced to do
I
so.
completely missed what you're saying. I was posting on Twitter that we're on, and there's a girl who's demonstrating various bras and how they work. So we start with a Victorian Secret bounce. Okay. Okay.
Excellent.
Then we get the Nike Sport bounce, and then we
See,
get
this is what we
Freedom.
should
Yeah, this is
be able
good.
to focus on.
That
Yeah.
that's this, yeah, yeah. I want more videos like this.
But it is very interesting. This is coming to a head. Well, I'm sure I imagine we're going to talk about old Elon and Trumpy Poo's little feud, which
Do we
seems to
have to?
be over. It really wasn't a feud. It was just Elon having a tantrum. Um, because Trump largely didn't do anything. He just basically said he was disappointed in him, and that was about it.
Yep.
Um, but regardless, it seems to be over. I'm assuming they had a phone conversation, and Trump told him to calm down, and Elon calmed down. Uh,
Yeah.
but what that was over was Elon's upset that Doge didn't get to do the things he wanted to do. And in fairness, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
However, however, at this moment, it's the wrong time because as we're seeing in LA, and we're probably going to see in other invader infested places in the country here very quickly, this problem needs to be solved, and you're not going to do that by not spending money. And one of the big things about this big bill is it funds these operations and it greatly expands them and it funds the border wall and it funds all these other things. Some of these things are terrible, but some of them are absolutely necessary. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't care if it costs us $100 trillion to secure that border and get everybody out of here who doesn't belong. Do it.
Yeah,
It's
no,
all
no,
free
I
play
agree.
money anyway.
It's not that
Do
kind
it.
of money anyway.
Yeah,
But no, Elon. I don't know if it was had to do with him. Though Doge didn't get to do what it wanted. Doge is continuing. It doesn't matter whether Elon's there or
that's
not.
true.
But no, I think it's just the autism of Elon.
The tism got the better of him
I think
because,
so. He
in
is a
fairness to
super
Trump,
liberal.
for once, he didn't do nothing wrong this time. At least not that we saw publicly. He
No,
didn't do anything but praise Elon. He was nice he was great with him. He never had a cross word to say about Elon in public, not
no, he
even
was
kind of.
supportive. Yeah,
And he invited him into his home. He invited him basically into his family. Like all these things, very supportive, seemed to really like Elon. And then out of nowhere, Elon gets a bug in his ass and just goes on a tangent for like 4 days, probably on a bender, for being honest.
probably.
And because he probably wasn't doing that as much when he was, or if at all, when he was in the White House and stuff. Because one thing people don't, or a lot of people don't realize about Donald Trump is he's a complete teetotaler. He's completely straight edge. He doesn't even drink
Yeah, yeah. No, he
at
doesn't
all.
care for it.
He's like me.
which
We do nothing. We stay away
which
from all of it.
Yeah, which
Um,
helped his kids out quite a bit, I bet,
yes,
because
but
those
so
are
I'd imagine
successful
he has a very
kids.
low tolerance for
Yeah,
that sort of stuff,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So he probably that may even been what started it, and Trump just didn't want to, say that in public about him, because Trump very rarely starts these fights, at least publicly. Sometimes he does, but it's usually somebody else did something or said something, and then he comes back with something, he hits back. But this time, he had nothing to do with it. It was, as far as we know, it was just Elon having a tanty. And, I think he had some people in his ear, like Thomas Massey, who I really like Thomas Massey. I think Thomas Massey is very important. I don't think he needs to be primaried. I just think he's wrong right now. Just like Rand Paul, they're wrong right now. They don't want to admit that this is an invasion that's happened to our country.
Yeah.
This is effectively a war that's happened to our country, and we need to treat it like that.
Mm.
And in order to handle this problem, you're going to have to spend some money. I get it. We're broke, but we've been broke for 2, 3 decades.
Oh,
You
longer
know,
than that, since the
the Bushes
'70s.
broke us. Both Bushes broke us. Reagan broke us. Like we've been broke. The
Yeah,
truth of the matter is there's nobody who can call our debt because everybody else is fucking broke too. So
yeah.
unless they want to bring the whole house of cards down all at once, which they're eventually going to do to bring in the digital currency, but we'll get to that. Um, they're not ready to pull that plug yet. They're not ready to pull that cord. So the powers that be that control the world's money supply, newsflash, it's not Congress and it's not the president of the United States. The powers that be that do that They have a plan. They've been very open about what their plan is to get us all on one world currency, not a reserve currency like America's, like the dollar, an actual unified global currency from all the powers.
Hmm.
That'll be probably a digital currency like Bitcoin or something similar, which is probably why Bitcoin was created, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was a test. And all of that will eventually happen because I mean honestly it's the way it should go, even though it's terrifying because they're going to have a lot of power. So that if they crash the dollar out, while it will suck for the individual people for a while, uh, the reality of it is they already crashed the dollar out. The dollar's lost so much value just in our lifetime. In the last 5 years, it's lost almost half its value in real world purchasing power in many areas.
Hmm.
It's already been crashed out. So worrying about a little bit extra here or there when we have a problem that this actually will help solve, or at least hopefully will, I really don't see I don't give a shit about the deficit anymore. I know Trump ran on it in a big way, and I get all these in Doge, and Doge is important, but Doge is more important for efficiency, in my opinion, than it is worrying about cutting down on the spending, because he was never going to get to cut down on the big spenders anyway, and he knew
Yeah,
it, and
yeah.
everybody knew it.
No,
They were
Doge.
never going to touch the Department of Defense. They were never going to touch the entitlements, the Social Security, and the what have. Not really. Nobody's has the balls to do it. Nobody has. It's political suicide.
Yeah, no, no.
It's it.
No, Doge is just an audit, which is
Yeah,
something that should have been in place forever. To be
it
honest
should
with you,
happen every year.
it
What?
should.
There's no reason.
It's really ridiculous that we've never done that. As far as the stuff with Medicaid and welfare in general, socialism.
Yeah.
He basically what he's doing is going back to the '80s.
Yep.
And honestly, it should have never left that. The simple fact is you have only 6% of people on welfare have a job
Yep.
of some kind is insanity. It's pure insanity. When I was
Yep.
younger, in the '80s, '70s as well, but '80s is really where this shit kicked off. You couldn't get anything unless you were actively working or at least looking for a job and could prove it, right? And it was mainly put in place to help single mothers anyway, which is why we've seen an escalation in single mothers. But to the point it's gotten today, where basically you could just sit at home and just gain benefits. I mean, what the hell, dude? I mean,
Yeah.
what the actual hell? And of course, what that has done in certain communities that have this mentality of gimme, 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 because I've been oppressed. I won't mention which. Um, that's why they have no fathers or no men in the household at all,
Yep.
right? Because of this mentality, and of course, it's broken their families. It's destroyed their communities. If you just go online to any of these, like YouTube type places, and just look at some police footage, right? And it's all over.
Hmm.
It's what they those guys who put that out make some money, I think. Um, but if you just look at it, the ghetto mentality is everywhere. It's
Yep.
99.9999 to the nth degree ghetto, right? Once
Yep.
again, like I said before, color doesn't have anything to do with ghetto. That's a
No.
mentality. We could use peasant mentality if you'd like,
Mm.
right? But
Rabble.
yeah, just absolute rabble. But this absolute, it's shocking to me because if you watch some of those videos, you get a better understanding of it, and you can see it elsewhere as well, outside of those kind of videos. However, they don't listen
Mm.
at all. It's
Mm-mm.
almost as if they cannot hear.
Right.
And it's it's kind of ridiculous, especially when you take it to such an extreme as dealing with a police officer. I mean, let's be fair. No one likes cops. No one likes cops. Even cops don't like cops. We know this. We get it. They're not our friend. They're not on our side. They serve the elite. Yada yada yada. Sure, but we need them. They're essential. And the simple fact of the matter is, I don't care whether you like a cop or not. If a cop says, "Give me your license," give him your damn license.
It's usually just easier.
I mean, why wouldn't you? You do have to identify yourselves. But people
Well, it depends
misunderstand
on
the
where you
Bill of
are.
Rights. No, they misunderstand the Bill of Rights, dude.
It
And
depends on which state you're in. Some states you don't.
yeah,
But
but let me explain the problem with it, because people always want to bring up the Fourth Amendment, right? That's the one that
mhm,
gets invoked the most, right? Amongst
yep.
other amendments, especially these sovereign citizens. Driving a motor vehicle is a luxury. It's not guaranteed. It's not your right. You do not have a right to drive a motor vehicle. You do not. Sorry, they did not exist when the country was put together. We
Mhm,
didn't have cars. You see. Um, but it is a luxury, and therefore it's a highly licensed and registered luxury. Therefore, when you are in a motor vehicle and you are driving, you are not moving freely. You are under a licensed and registered movement, which you choose to do. Therefore, a police officer has every right to check the operation of that registered vehicle. They have every
yeah.
right. Now,
In a
in
vehicle,
some,
yes.
yeah, in a vehicle. Now, if the state wants to soften on that, well, that's that state's choice, right? But I'm just
Well, no,
telling you, that's
I
the
think every
reality
state,
of
if
it.
you're operating a vehicle, you have to identify yourself, but not if
Yes.
you're just walking down the street, you
Oh,
don't.
no, no, no. I'm not talking
Um,
about that. Now, cops
yeah,
do overstep on that because they're cops. Right?
yes,
But I'm talking about inside of motor vehicles, of course, is what I'm talking
yeah,
about. And all these idiots is saying, I have my right. I don't have to give this to you. They don't listen to a word they're saying. And of course, they get ripped out of the car and arrested because you are literally obstructing. And then if you know
yeah,
anything about cops, and the whole, all of us do, we know that they're
mhm,
assholes, right? If you allow that cop to pull you out of the car legally, which you're doing by doing that, then, if you do anything but just like turn your head, resisting, there's a charge, right? If you
mhm,
turn and your elbow just happens to touch the hem of their jacket, assaulting an officer,
mhm,
this is what they do. And they do it happily because they get points, baby.
yeah,
They get points for all that charging and shit. It helps them in the courts. The whole system is screwed because it's allowed them, and in many ways, I'd say even forced them to do that kind of shit. So
yeah,
if you weren't a moron, a ghetto headed moron, you know the best way to deal with them is when they come up, have your license and insurance and proof of registration, whatever it is you need in your state, have it ready. And when they ask for it, give it to them. If they ask you to get out of the car, get out of the fucking car.
yeah.
Don't give them fuel
No,
because fuck them.
because fuck them, and they're probably more heavily armed than you.
Oh yeah.
Whether you respect the state's authority or not, and I mostly don't, especially not on the roadways. But even if you don't, unless you're packing some serious heat and can and have a way of just disappearing after you shoot a cop, um,
Yeah,
you're gonna lose.
which is kind of hard.
You're gonna
It's kind
lose
of difficult.
in the end.
Yeah.
There's no winning this. There's no win. This is what I say to people all the time when they want to do something, right? Something that's kind of silly. What's winning look like? What does winning this look like to you? What is the
Yeah.
win condition for you right now? Because if your win condition involves something that's preposterous, um, why are you doing this thing? Stop it. Just
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
Stop doing that
And
thing.
a lot of people misunderstand thinking the cop wants to hurt you. That's not true. I mean, there might be some cop like that, but they get weeded out by the other cops. Cops are not violent and there to cause you harm. That's quite the opposite. They
Yeah.
don't want to deal with that extra paperwork, right? For one. And two, the patience of these cops is often godly. It's ridiculous. The patient, I would be murdering people, dude, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Having
Yeah.
to deal with that attitude. So it's not about violence. And like I said, if there is a violent cop amongst them, they weed it out themselves. They do. Cops are not there to hurt you. They have no interest in doing that. That's not true. I know a lot of people think this. It's not true, dude. It's really not.
Yeah.
It's about the paperwork. It's about the points they get for every arrest and various little points, charges on their arrest. It's them having to fill out their arrest enough that they can deal with the bullshit of the court because the court is bullshit too. and it forces them to make sure they have certain charges put on you. So it gives them a better chance, the prosecutor, a better chance of actually winning something in the court. This is what it's all about. It's not about beating you. It's not about hurting you at all. That it's honestly, if you get hurt in the process, they have to go to the hospital, more paperwork filled out. There's a review board. They don't want that. Cops in no way want you injured at all, right?
Hmm.
That's not what they want. It's not what's happening.
Typically.
And this wasn't my point. I was kind of just a side point I'm making with the cops, but I'm just saying this peasant mentality, this ghetto mentality, is
Hmm.
so widespread. And when you understand it, you see it. They have the inability to hear.
Yes.
It's almost as if they are deaf in some way. And they only hear what they say that this is my truth, and then only that is heard. And of course, this
Right.
isn't how you should live your life at all. You should be open minded to change and different ideas. You should always be open minded, right? Now,
Hmm.
often my mind doesn't change, but it has happened, right? Because
Right.
you do get set in your way, but I'm open to the idea of it. At least I will listen. But these
Hmm.
people, they can't hear anything, and this is why you get. I saw a video earlier of this little girl, little cute girl, all excited and happy, and so hating on Trump so much because Abrego Garcia, I think his name is, um,
Hmm.
was brought back into the country, and she felt that that was a big win for the Democrats, and fuck Trump and all that kind of stuff. And she was so excited about it, and it was like, ma'am. Abrego Garcia would simply throw you into a van and sell you,
Yeah. Or worse.
or
Yeah.
worse, because he is a full-on wife beater, MS-13 member, human trafficker. That's who that guy
Yep.
is. And see, a lot of
He's a
people seem
complete,
to
complete piece of shit.
a complete piece of shit. But
Yeah.
why do I see this on the media and the Republicans don't even mention it as well, the conservative commentators? He's already convicted
Yeah.
of murdering some guy, some other gang member's mother, some other gang guy's mother. He's already convicted. What are we on about him being a Maryland man and a great husband? His wife pressed charges against him multiple times. What what is? Can you explain that to me? Why are people
Um.
not mentioning he's already convicted? The problem was because he had a soft ass judge who probably didn't want to convict him but had no choice. Said,
Yeah.
"Well, I'm not going to send you back to El Salvador because your home country will do bad things to you, so he can go anywhere else." That was the era. It's stupid, but that's the era that ICE made. Not that he wasn't guilty of murder.
Right.
So, can you explain to me why no one's mentioning that? He's a murderer.
Um. I don't know, but here's what I do know: the reason why the so-called conservatives will not say anything is because they're afraid of being called the R word. But here's something I've noticed, Justin,
Radical,
and I think you no, no, racist.
remorseful,
Uh,
oh,
here's
racist. Oh,
something I've
okay.
here's something I've noticed. That's done for most people. I'm talking to people all over, even people who I know aren't like that. They don't think like that. They're not. It's nothing like that for them. If you would have asked them just a couple years ago, they would have been all about woe is me and blah 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 blah. Just about everybody I've talked to, on even some on the other side of the aisle, when it comes to these issues, when it comes to this invasion that Biden facilitated, he didn't just allow, he facilitated. It was treason. It was high treason of the
Yeah.
highest order,
Oh,
what Joe Biden's
I'm getting
administration did.
into sedition today.
Yeah. Um, facilitated it, and there is a huge preponderance of Americans who are coming closer and closer to my position, where anybody who was involved in this, one, they all have to go back. Every single one of them. I don't care how much it takes. I don't care how much it costs.
Yeah, yeah.
They got to go.
All of them.
And two, everybody who was involved in it needs hung on a cross, straight up Roman style, crucify that ass.
Yeah.
Because not only did they betray their country, not only did they facilitate an invasion of foreign nationals into this country, which is treason by every metric you could possibly come up with a metric. That's treason. They did so at great personal profit, and they did so regardless of the victims of these situations. Not just the Americans who've been victimized by these people, but the people who are being victimized in transit. The thousands and tens of probably hundreds, maybe even millions, we don't know, of children and women who are victimized sexually and physically in transit by these people, or just brought here for that specific purpose, or
Yeah.
brought across back and forth across the border basically to be slaves.
Well, we know at least
These people,
300,000.
at least minimum, these people facilitated this gleefully, happily, because they thought that they were going to win in the end, and maybe they still will with demographic replacement. That's just completely correct. That's exactly what they were doing. That's all it's ever been about. That's all it'll ever be about. They want to replace the white middle class with a bunch of brown third worlders. These are their words, not mine, because they think they'll control them better than they will the white working middle class. Because those evil whites yet again just won't shut up about it. They just won't go along with it. That little branch there, the people who came over here because they got chased out of Europe because, various reasons. They
Yeah.
came on over here and then they built the greatest country to ever exist in the history of the world. Those people,
Mhm.
their descendants are still kind of assholes about it. They're still kind of pretty proud of that achievement, and they're like, no, no, we're not going to let you give our country away. Well, no, the people at the top don't like that. It's got really nothing to do with race. It's the fact that those people all happen to be of that same racial group, or for the most part. There's even black ones like it too, by the way. They don't like them much either. So they got to get replaced by people they think will be more susceptible to their programming and their bullshit. And maybe they're correct. I don't
It's
know, but
also
that's what
about
they think.
it's also about zoning, dude.
Yes.
It's about zoning. But I'd go one further. I'd add one to it. I think we should stop full immigration, open
Yes.
immigration, for a
We
while.
should.
I mean,
For at
last
least
time
5
we
to 10
did
years.
that, yeah, yeah, yeah. Last time we did that was what, World War II? I know we did in World War
Around that
One.
around that time, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was the late 20s is when they really shut it off.
Right,
And then,
there was I know there was a time where it was completely shut down. And now
yeah.
I meant open immigration. There's still, if you get married, work visas,
And
all
there's
that
still
kind of stuff.
exceptional cases. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. But we should shut it down for a while because we need to deal with this situation. He should just shut it
Yes.
down for a while.
Shut it down. We got at minimum 30 million people gotta go. They gotta go. It's not even about like, oh, that's the cruelty or something about weird racial. No, these people have no business here, and at least 25 million of them came in the last 10 years. What are we talking about? They've got no
It's
business here at all.
it is
At
bad.
all.
It is really, really bad. And hopefully they'll get scared enough that the majority of them will self-deport.
We would hope.
And they even and Trump administration even gave him an easy out in that regard.
Yep.
But Roger, of course, always wanting to trigger and antagonize me.
He likes
Says
to. It's fun
he
for him.
does. He is police brutality. Well, of course, there are rare examples of police brutality.
Yep.
Most of it is just screeching liberals. Okay. And I will give you a good example. Mr. George Floyd. There was
Mhm.
never a knee on his neck, ever.
Correct.
That guy offed himself by ODing. That's what
Correct.
happened. And a cop went to jail for what? Doing exactly what he was told to do. It's bullshit. And I'm
Well, he
kind of
went to
surprised
jail for being white.
he did go to jail for being white, and I'm really shocked that Trump hasn't pardoned him yet. He'll probably wait to the end of the term, I guess.
We've been
But
hearing rumors that he might.
It's insane. There's no reason. Derek Chauvin, was that his name?
Yes.
And it's
I will
all
say this,
his name is almost
uh,
too perfect.
he should have went to jail for something, but not for murder. He didn't kill that guy.
I don't think he should went
Here's
to
what
jail
he
at all. He was
here's what he
doing
should have went to
exactly what
jail
he was
for.
trained to do.
Correct. But here's what he should have went to jail for. Not for Floyd, for just being a piece of shit. That dude had hundreds, I believe, if I remember correctly, of reports against him of excessive force over the years.
Okay.
Uh, he wasn't a good cop.
Okay.
It was just we happened to have a stem of two terrible people ran into each other at once, and one died and one got thrown in jail for the rest of his life because of it.
Yeah.
It was like it's one of those situations where it's like you know kind of both kind of shitty. But the reality of it is it's still an act of injustice because he wasn't put in jail for those things. He was put in jail for something he didn't even actually do. The
Yeah,
guy
I
killed
know.
himself.
Yeah, that
And
was
if you remember the
ridiculous.
video, George Floyd asked him to lay down. So he said, "Okay."
Yeah, that's the
He didn't
mistake they
throw him
made.
down.
They were
Yeah.
too nice. They should have put
Yeah.
him in that car like they do anybody else and took him off to the jail immediately. That's what they
Yep.
should have done,
Or the ER, one or the
or
other.
what have you. But and they usually do that just simply for safety reasons anyway.
Right.
But that's the mistake they made. They were being way too nice and soft.
And
And I
that's what happens when you have this the system did this to itself and it did it on purpose. So about 30 years ago or so, they decided that there was too many highly intelligent police officers, many of them former veterans and things, and they don't
yeah,
like
that
that
pissed me
because
off. Yeah,
those guys won't just follow orders. They'll be like, no, 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 we don't have to do it that way. We can do this. They don't
yeah,
want that. They want people who will just follow orders. And I understand why. It's not necessarily evil. It's just, for the flow of what they're trying to do. I get that. Somebody who's like, no, no, let's do this, slows everything down. They're a monkey in the wrench, right? So I get that. However,
years.
that was the directive that went. Yes, I know. That was the directive that went out. Is these cops are basically too smart. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically the vernacular that was used. So they literally started hiring for people who were dumber. Now they're not like retarded level, but they're really they're midwits basically, 100, IQ roughly. Too much higher than that, they start to filter you out or filter you up, up, so you're not on the street
Right.
level. And that's a terrible strategy. It's a
It
terrible
is.
policy because
Well, yeah,
there's a
it
lot
is.
of data that people that particular intellect position is replete with people who are very capable of compartmentalizing away anything.
Yeah.
Whereas the more
Well,
intelligent you become, the harder that becomes because your brain won't shut the fuck up about it.
well,
Right? It
they
just can't. It's
right,
not easy
but
to do.
they got rid of maybe a bit of sloppiness in full control. But what
Yeah.
they lost was the friendly
Discernment.
neighborhood cop that knew
Right.
everybody.
Yes.
They
And can
lost
remember
this.
everybody's name,
That's
everybody's
right.
face. Yeah, that
The
kind of stuff.
the
'Cause that is
peacemaker,
what
they lost
de-escalates.
that. Yeah,
That's what de-escalates is when you know that guy and you can talk to him, right? You
that's
say their
right.
name. That's what they're supposed to do. Learn their name so they can talk to them, try and be peaceful. So what they did is they got them out. They filtered them out of the force. Then all the older guys who were like that, they all retired. And you can even go out and find countless testimonies from them where they'll just tell you, I couldn't do it anymore. They want us to
Yeah.
be soulless, basically, and that's not what I signed up to do. I wanted to protect my community, not just be an enforcer. And so they left. They pissed off. So now you're left with either the psychopath bullies who do make it into the police force on a regular basis, or the idiots who are only there to collect their paycheck. They don't care about anything other than that. So they're going to do everything they can to
Mhm.
make it as efficient, we'll use of a
Right.
word, as possible.
Right.
But you're dealing with people and things get
Right. But
messy and there's emotion and da 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 da. And that's why bad things end up
can
happening very
happen,
often.
and they're
Yeah.
quite fearful, and that's another
Yes.
issue.
They're
But
terrified
but
because they're not smart enough to discern how to handle this thing without
exactly,
violence.
exactly,
Yeah.
and of course that's why I said that brutality is not the end goal. It's
Right.
not because it's not efficient,
It's not.
and they don't want to deal. Trust me, cops don't want to deal with that shit, dude. They really don't.
No.
And Alan,
Most of them.
the comedian being right was the whole point of the Watchmen.
Yes. It was.
Yeah.
Um, but that's what happened about 20, 30 years ago. They decided. I know this for a fact. I used to be an activist in this exact field. They decided that they didn't want intelligent police officers, and then couple that, or overly intelligent, couple that with the militarization of the police because of 9/11 and because of the gang escalations and da 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 da. where every small little police force in the country suddenly had armored vehicles and SWAT
Right.
teams and
That's
just
right.
create the things
Yeah.
they don't need at all. Uh, and it turned it into a paramilitary force. It never used to be that, or at least
No,
very
it
rarely
didn't.
were there
We
cases.
had special units for that. No, you're right.
Yeah,
And usually the special units were like in the capital of your state, right?
right,
But
right.
yeah, I've never been an activist. I prefer lethargy.
I do now, but no, I was
Yeah,
an anti. Or, well, I won't say anti-police. I was a police reform activist for 10 years,
I see.
and we had we were trying to get things like civil asset forfeiture overturned, which we did multiple times. I think there's 4 different cases where the Supreme Court has said this is unconstitutional. You can't just take people's shit without giving them, without giving them due process. You just can't do that. That's not how it works. But they keep doing it because
Well,
it makes them a lot of money. Yeah,
let's be
yeah. You can't
correct.
take citizen
This is
stuff.
an
Yeah,
important point of distinction these
yes,
days, Thundero.
it is true.
We get a lot of these idiots up there saying they have the right to free speech. If they're an American, sure. People seem to misunderstand the Bill of Rights. Your freedoms within the Constitution are for, as it states, we the people.
Right.
It's not for every, random Jose and Ahmed from
Hmm.
anywhere in the world. It's not. It's not. If you come into America and you're not a citizen, you don't have any of those rights. Now we
Well,
tend
you
to
shouldn't.
grant. Well, no, you shouldn't. We tend to grant them because why not? But if push comes to shove, you don't have the right to do that. You
So
don't
what
have any of
happens if
those
Trump
rights.
says, because I mean technically they already are. What happens if Trump just signs an executive order that turns every undocumented person, illegal immigrant, into an actual outlaw? See, because people don't know what that term means. They think that means like a bad guy. No, no, no. Outlaw just means you are outside of the law,
It's
meaning you have no
classification.
protection. You have
It's a
no protections
classification.
in the
Yeah.
law. Yeah. So what happens if that happens and then, he just says, "Okay, go handle it. Get them out." You
I
guys know where everybody knows where they are. Every American knows these people. We
and
know
where
where
they
they're
are.
at. We know what they're
Well,
doing. It's not a mystery. It's not a secret. It's just we're not allowed to do anything.
point of order.
Yeah.
Um, the outlaw status, which is a classification, I only
Yep.
think applies to actual Americans.
Well, you know which one doesn't?
Go ahead.
Terrorists.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Listen, I'm telling you, the people are getting real ready. We're real close. I'm telling you right now, this shit that's going on in LA and all over in these invaders, and then you have these politicians. I think just remember about 5 years ago, I think it was, maybe 6, you asked me how ready or how what would you put a percentage on the
Yeah.
number of American people who want a civil war or
Yeah.
who would be willing for it? And I said it was really low. I think it's getting a lot higher, but I don't think it's a civil war they want. They want exactly what happened in Rome. They want somebody to clean this shit up. We're done. We're
Right.
done.
But
Right? Exactly what happened with the Germans. Exactly what happened many times in Rome, actually.
yeah.
Exactly what happened.
Do
Somebody needs to come and handle this business.
do keep in mind the actual cleaning didn't happen until after Caesar was dead.
Yes.
Just so you know.
Well, that's why I genuinely think JD Vance is Caesar, is the American Caesar. I do.
Mm, yeah.
I The way he handled this Elon Trump feud was masterful. It was perfect. He has not made a single misstep since he was named to be vice president
Yeah.
effectively.
He's done a good
Trump's
job.
running mate,
He has done a really good
and
job. Yeah.
he clearly has very little tolerance for these gland handing parasite f words I'm not allowed to say on YouTube, like Zelensky. Very little tolerance for those sorts of people who will lie to your face and expect you to smile about it, uh, which is a very Caesarian trait, actually. So I think that it might be the American Caesar, because Trump isn't, and I've been telling people that for a long time. The God Emperor Trump meme. It's a funny meme, and he looks great in the memes. He does,
Yeah.
but he's not that guy, and he's never gonna be that guy. But Vance might be. Vance is my age. Vance grew up very similar to me. He knows exactly what these globalist sons of bitches did to Ohio. He lived it. He lived even worse than I did with his drug addict mother. He went off and fought in the wars, or at least he was over there. I don't know how much fighting he did. Uh, Vance lived it. He's lived this glorious globalist America experiment that we've had since the late 80s in this country. He lived it just as much as I did, right on the ground level, right at the heart of the country where we were hit the hardest. The Rust Belt was absolutely hit the hardest by it,
Yeah, no, it
intentionally.
was. It's true.
I'm telling you, he understands on a level that most people don't. How much these people gotta go. They just gotta go. We can't keep doing this bullshit. And I think you see the younger batch of Trump's appointees, the men
Hmm.
especially, all seem to have a very similar cadence and manner in the way they carry themselves.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Hesgeth or Hesketh, I can't say his
Hegseth.
name.
Hegseth.
Hegseth. He has very little time for their bullshit. JD Vance has very, very little time. Even Cash, who I don't know what's up with Cash, but at least when it comes to those people, he has very little time for their BS. Uh, even Kennedy, really, but he's a little older. Uh, these people have very little time for the nonsense that's been coming out of the establishment of this country for our whole lives, effectively.
Hmm.
Um, and that's a good thing. And they're a barometer. You see, I've been saying for a very long time, and why I brought up the Civil War thing. Trump was the olive branch. The system spat in the face of our olive branch, tried to throw him in jail, did everything they could to turn him into a martyr, even tried to shoot him in the head, tried to kill him. Lord Almighty stepped in and turned his head just at the last possible second, or else he would have been dead on national television.
Yeah, no, that was an impressive moment. That's true.
They did all of these things to try and stop the great man of history, which is what Trump is. Whether you like him or not, you cannot deny he's a great man of history. He is. Um, they did all of these things to try and stop this from happening. I am telling you, the country is real close to ready. It's not even a race thing, it's nothing. I know that I'm not alone when it comes to actual Americans who have generational family ties to this. I mean, my family's been here longer than America's existed. Get the fuck. If I have to hear one of these motherfucking half barely speak English motherfuckers talk about they're more American than me, I might just start shooting them.
Hmm.
Get the fuck out of here. This is my country. This is my country on both sides of my bloodline. You don't get to tell me what an American is. I know what an American is. So does every American. We don't need you in your clickety clack throat language, you Arab fucks, telling us what an American is, all right? If you don't like what an American is, leave the fuck out. Being here is not your right. It's a privilege that we afford you. And your hosts are tired of your shit. Our families built this country, not yours. Our families slaughtered countless people to build this country, not yours. Yeah, there's blood on our hands. Yep, and we're happy about it because we built the greatest country to ever live, to ever exist, and it's not close. So, this idea that we need to just welcome the whole world or else you're not American, and as soon as they get here, they're just as American. Fuck you. No, they're not. Chester lives in Japan. He's
Yep.
not Japanese. He's
No.
never going to claim to be,
No.
ever,
I'm an American.
because it's disrespectful. It's
No, it's
disrespectful to
very
the people of
disrespectful.
Japan.
And
So
besides,
it's also
I don't
disrespectful
I
for
wouldn't want
anybody to
to
come here and do it.
I don't want to go to the operation that gives me short forearms and calves.
It would be very
It
painful.
would suck.
Uh,
You know.
yeah, these people, it's so infuriating. And I know I'm not alone anymore. We see it now. Trump's mandate was not just to reduce the spending. It was, in fairness. People wanted the government to be brought under control. But on top of that, the only reason he was ever president to begin with in his first run was he was the only person who was willing to talk about immigration. He was the only one to actually talk about it, seriously talk about it. The people of this country, no matter their color, no matter their creed, are tired of walking into Walmart and not seeing Americans anymore. There's just no Americans in they're not there anymore, Chester.
Yeah.
You see nothing but a bunch of people wearing burqas and shit. That's not America.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry, I
it's
don't care if
weird.
that's your religion. That go have your religion over there. Here we don't force our women to wear that shit.
Yeah.
Period.
No,
As my
it's a
father once famously said to an Arab man who was disrespecting my sister in front of him, he's lucky he didn't kill him. We don't treat our women that way here. If you don't like it, you son of a bitch, get on your camel and ride out of here.
Yeah,
That's what he told him, right to his
yeah,
face. And I laughed my ass off. I started pissing myself laughing. I couldn't believe he
yeah.
said it myself.
Well, I mean, it is because it's a culture issue.
Yes.
It's not a color issue. It's a culture
No.
issue, 100%. And everyone knows this, whether they admit it or not. There's plenty of
Yes.
people that you'll listen to agree to that aren't the same color as you because they're the same culture.
Correct.
Now, to help you out with Hegseth, I will simply give you the etymology. Okay,
Oh, here it
Heg,
comes.
high, Seth or Set, place.
Yeah.
It's a Norwegian name and it's a location name, like a lot of people have. It just means
Mhm.
high place. It
High
could
place.
even mean the
That's a
seat
good
of
name.
high power, like a
That's a good
kingly
name.
name, but mainly it just means a high place.
That's a
Hegset.
good name.
It is a
That's a
good name.
powerful name.
It is powerful.
It's a
Not as
powerful
powerful as
name.
mine, but you know.
Well, mine means holy, like holy land, basically. Means church field, holy land.
Yeah,
My
yeah, yeah,
last name.
yeah, yeah. So
Um,
mine's still better.
it's probably why have so much conviction, Chester. That's
Yeah, that's
probably it.
probably what it is. My
Yeah,
my name means Forest King. Suck it.
that's a good name. That
Yeah.
is a good name. Yeah. But no, I'm it's crazy. It's crazy that we've been having this argument for at least 25 years or so in this country, really longer than that, but definitely in the last 25 years about who is an American and who isn't. We all know who an American is. It's not difficult.
Yeah, no, it's
Nobody,
not
if
hard
you
at
go out of
all.
the country, if I leave the country today and I gotta go to anywhere in Europe, you think they're gonna confuse me?
No,
Or they're gonna know
no.
exactly who I am?
And they're gonna laugh at you when you're not there.
Yeah, and that's fine. I don't care about the opinions of the inferiors. My point is, these people automatically know. Just like if I were to go to Brazil, they're gonna know. Oh, that's an American. I probably don't have to say anything. They're just that's an
Damn it.
American.
Alan wins.
What he
His
said.
his name means Taco Tuesday. That's definitely better. Taco Tuesdays, man. I love tacos.
What I was saying the other night to I think our boy Grimlock, it was him and a couple other people because I was fired up about these riots and the fact that there's people out here, wringing their hands about sending the military in to quell them. No, that's if no, send them in there, shoot them. I don't give a shit. Just send them in there. Um, this country has always been well, at least biracial, but really multiracial country pretty much since the word jump. Now, yeah,
Yeah,
granted, it was a vast majority of one race, but still, they were here. Many of them not against, not out of their own volition, but they were still here.
sure.
So when people say they try to twist it as if you're talking about, oh, it's a white supremacy. I don't, no, no.
Well,
Plenty of black Americans have been here just as long as my family has, or just about. They have every right to be here too. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who just came over off the boat 10 minutes ago talking about they're an American just like me. No, you're not. No, you're
And
not.
and
Stop it.
besides,
That's
it
insulting.
it shows the incredible level of ignorance anyway. Because
Yes.
even if you are saying, well, they're Europeans, well, yeah, but if you sit there and you think that the difference between an English, an Irish, a German, a Dutch, and an
Yeah.
Italian or a Pole is negligible, you're a fucking moron.
Correct. Correct. Very different people. They have their own language and histories and cultures and physical characteristics. They're very different people. They just have a similar skin tone.
And
That's it.
kinks. We would rather
Yes.
not have the Germans, but we kind of need them.
Yeah, they're very efficient. The
They
sons of
are.
bitches. Very
They
efficient.
are. They are. And
Yeah.
the Italians are a bit high strung,
The
and the
Italians make the
Irish
best
have
food.
proclivities.
The Italians make the best food. You're gonna have a great
They
time with
do.
Italians. You're
The
gonna eat. You're gonna
Italians.
drink. You're gonna talk passionately about things that probably don't matter, but you're
Well,
gonna have a great time with the Italians.
well, you know what? You know one interesting thing when you talk about food, because you'd be surprised how much I know about the history of food.
It is important.
It is. But here's a very interesting point about the history of food. Um,
Mhm.
Now, if we want to go back to ancient times and talk about, the inception of cultivation of most of the foods we eat today, well, it's either around Mount Ararat, odd that. I don't know why it'd be that place. And of course in
Mm.
the Americas, right?
Mhm.
But really, modern times, what your food is coming from is you had this big old powerful thing, this big powerful empire, the Palladian Empire, which we call Rome, right?
Yep.
And those guys were the kings of the world, undisputed.
Yes.
Everyone bowed to them, even the arrogant Chinese bowed to them, right?
Yep.
And all this nonsense about don't listen to these stupid historians. The Romans were everywhere. They were in South America, they were in North America, they were in India, they were in Asia, they were in Southeast Asia. They were everywhere, right?
Yep.
They dominated. And when that whole nonsense with the Germans coming in and wanted purified and creating the Holy Roman Empire, which honestly, not too long after they did that, it was starting to fail. It was freaking Charlemagne who saved that shit. But whatever.
Yes.
That's not the point. What happened with them, because they went through a low period, right? They didn't go away, but they didn't have the power they used to have. But the Byzantines, particularly under the Tartarian rule or the Ottoman rule, whatever you prefer, um, those guys, they were the true expression of the Roman Empire. And therefore, today you can track almost every food and recipe back to what we call Turkey today, right?
That makes
Aside
sense.
from some of those foods we picked up in the Americas, which are much more modern, like
Popcorn.
well, yeah, well, those are things we picked up with Americans. But I mean, I'm
My
talking.
people did one good thing. Popcorn.
That's
It's
true.
ours.
Well, watermelon, well,
Oh yeah. Hmm.
the strawberries, of course, were created by the Dutch, but they were poisons before that. But the strawberry is only 100 some odd years old.
Yeah.
Of course, tobacco, coffee, chocolate.
Yep.
We did pick up stuff from the New World, but all of those traditional foods and recipes and ingredients that the world uses all the way here from Japan to frickin' California or New York, maybe that'd be better. Um,
Yep.
they're coming out of Turkey by way of Rome,
Yep.
right? So, I mean,
So
you
Rome
know,
is the most influential, in my
extremely
opinion,
so, extremely
ever,
so. Why was I
ever, even
talking
more
about the
so than
history of
America.
food? I forget.
Well, because I mentioned, how did I get on that? I said something about food's history. Oh, Italians, the
Oh yeah,
Italians and their
Italian,
food.
and of
Yeah,
course, so therefore, the fact that in modern time the Italians have the best, just rounded cuisine in the world, should it
yeah,
shock you? No.
no, no,
It's historical. It
and it's not close
explains.
either.
No,
It's
it's
not close.
not. The Italians, the Turks, Lebanese are kind of a cross point of that. And of course, you also have over here in Asia the Chinese cuisine, which is quite fantastic. But if you look at the history, most of those dishes, where are they coming from? Turkey,
Yep.
therefore Rome, right? Because
Rome.
the Byzantines were the inheritors of all that was good of the Roman Empire, and the
Mhm.
Catholics just went and got stupid
Real
and
gay.
real gay. And then the Protestants came along and said, "Here, hold my beer. We're not only going to get more stupider than that, we're going to be like
Yeah,
dancing, this
yeah.
new product
Oh,
coffee,
yep.
fun in general. Sex shall be hidden behind screens."
Yes.
Um,
And then we're gonna go to a different continent on the other side of the planet and ruin it too.
yeah, yeah,
Fuck
yeah,
you, that's
yeah.
why.
That's why. That's right. But because they did go through that period, so the Byzantines were flourishing the whole time that the Catholics were bearing down with the iron fist, right?
Yeah,
And it's that old adage of the Tower of Babel, right? Because if you
yes.
read the Tower of Babel, the original story, not the
Mhm.
watered down, sanitized version you find in the King James Bible, but the original story, what's happening in Babel doesn't matter. It's not the point. The real point of that is the conversation between two gods, huge air quotes, by the way, that are
Mhm.
arguing over how to maintain the noisy, troublesome humans. And you have one that says the iron fist is the way to go, and the other one is saying, no, 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 we want to work from the shadows and make them think it's their idea.
Right.
And you only have to look at modern times and see who won that argument, right? And where they won it. Because in the Eastern world, therefore, a la the Muslims, the Iron Fist is well present, because as much as you might not like an Islamist, and I don't blame you, you can't say at least they're not honest, because they
No,
are. It's like join us or die, motherfucker.
join or
And
die.
it's very straightforward. Where is the shadow manipulation? It's in the frickin' Catholics, Protestants. It's in the West. We can see it. It's so clear of this separation, this dichotomy of thought.
Mm,
And it's hard to argue which is worse. I would say the Western, shadowy control and manipulation lies is more insidious,
mhm.
but the iron fist rule of the Islamists is far more destructive.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
you know,
I agree. But
but Taco
it's very
Tuesdays,
interesting. Yeah, that's where we got
that's where
started
it
on
came
Taco
from,
Tuesdays.
because tacos are awesome.
Um, but no, what got started on it is we were talking about the racial and ethnic creation, if you will, or foundation of America, of the
Yeah,
U.S.
yeah,
And yes, there was a time not too long ago where white Americans wouldn't even consider other white Americans white Americans.
no.
They weren't having none of it.
I I I,
So
I I'm sorry to
it's
tell
not
you,
a white
Mi-
thing.
Mr. Mulatto Injun, I've never in my life thought of myself as white.
White
I
man.
am an American, and if you want to know my ancestry, I'll say, well, I'm Norwegian.
You're
I've
a white
never
man,
considered
sir.
myself to be white.
Yep, nope, white man. Ask them. They'll tell you. White
Yeah.
boy. They'll say, "Listen here, whitey."
Hmm.
Um, No, correct. Not most of us haven't. It wasn't the only reason why my generation and the younger generations even think that way is because they forced us to. Because they constantly berate us and constantly, call us the devil and the problem. All the world's problems come from us. And okay, all right, fine. Well, that just means all the world's solutions come from us too. I hope you
Yep.
understand that that's how reality works. If you
Yeah.
put all of the power into one facet, that facet is now the solution to all problems. Just so
A-
we're clear,
Yeah.
that's how it works.
Alan.
It's kind of like when people try to do the universal praise thing, right? You have to give universal praise to whatever. Okay, well then they also get universal shame for
That's
all the
true.
bad
That is true.
parts of it.
And speaking of shame, I need to speak to Alan.
Oh no.
Yeah. Now, there's 2 points I have to bring up here, Alan. One, tacos.
Yep.
Now the question is, which is better, soft taco or crunchy taco, crispy taco? That's
For me,
yeah.
steak taco. I don't care what the shell is.
Oh, that's fair. But I'm talking about shells specifically in this conversation. Thank you very much. Try not to divert from
Mm.
the point. But
I don't eat any other kind of tacos. So
yeah,
that's all I care about is
those
steak
steak
taco.
tacos are good,
Well,
especially
that's
with
right. I like shrimp tacos too. Shrimp tacos
melted
are good.
cheese up on that. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, get a little bit of that.
So a
That
bit of
pico de
onions.
gallo.
Oh goodness. But it's hard because I do like soft tacos. I eat
I do too.
predominantly eat soft tacos.
Yeah,
But because I make them myself. And trust me, I've gone through quite the rigmarole to get myself a flow line of having all the ingredients I
yes,
need
you're
to make
missing
the
out. You should
tacos.
you should open Taco Bells over there.
I
Be
Well,
be
dude,
rich.
yeah, I don't want to give dysentery to the Japanese.
You'll
I
be all right.
yeah, maybe.
Jeez.
But um, there's something about a nice crunchy taco too, though, dude.
It's that satisfy. See, I've been saying this. Our food's not crunchy anymore. It's not like hard
Oh
like it
yeah,
used to
that's
be
good, Alan.
anymore. And there's something real satisfying about biting through that shell.
Yeah, yeah, it's good, man. It's good.
Yeah.
And Alan mentions homemade tortilla, crunchy tortilla. Homemade tortilla is greater than crunchy. No, no, I mean I like them both, but there is something cool about the crunchy thing. But anyway,
It's that
that's
yeah, yeah.
just an opinion conversation. The more important
Uh-huh.
question, Alan, is this: can you please explain to me the deviance of pooping on one's chest or other people's chest?
Uh,
I don't,
I cannot
I
and I
don't
will
get it.
not even attempt to. It's
No, I'm
hideous
asking
behavior.
Alan.
I'm going to answer for him. He cannot and he will not even attempt to because it's hideous behavior.
I don't get it, dude. People do weird shit, man. What the hell? Why is it so complicated? Dick in hole.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It feels good in there, I
And that
promise.
was a double entendre.
No, it's yeah, it's gross. It's
It's
gross. The
people
Germans,
do weird
they're
shit,
real
man.
degenerate.
I
They're
don't
real
get
degenerate.
it. And it's not just them, those freaking Arabs, dude.
Yeah.
I don't understand this weird ass shit. I
I think
mean,
it's all the
from
repression,
maybe.
and they just
Maybe
let
it
rip,
is, yeah, because the
literally.
Germans are like that too, aren't they? But
Yep.
it's so weird. I mean, for me, cosplay is odd. We're way past that.
Yeah, yes. It's funny you mentioned cosplay, Chester. Yeah, Nat, we haven't talked about this yet.
Uh,
Normally we talk about what we did this weekend, but we got right into it today. Well, this is a total subject change, but you mentioned cosplay.
hmm,
I went to a Renaissance festival today,
hmm.
and it was
They're
nice. It was
fun.
very nice.
Yeah, it's
They had
fun.
they
It,
had uh they had some nice fights, full armored fights,
yeah,
the whole
SCA.
deal.
Yeah, or HEMA.
Uh, they had some good like comedy shows, like
Sure.
skits and whatnot. It was fun. It was a good
No,
time. It
dude,
was a
the
good
SCA is
time.
great, man. It's a good fun time. If you have a local SCA near you, which you do, go join it.
Hmm.
It's a lot of fun. You can learn all kind of different skills from the old time, which are still viable today. But
Hmm.
I've seen from really simple LARPing in a field to full on badassery when it comes to rent fairs, dude. Um,
Yep.
the best one I ever went to is Penzix. And Penzix has an entire town built. There's so many people go to Penzix by law, they have to have a post office and stuff like that, right? Because there's so
Yeah.
many people show up. But they have a full town there. There is like this, there's little theaters, these little globe theaters all over the place, and they do, as you said, these little plays. There's places you can sit down at a pub and have cordials. You can go learn how to make cordials. You can learn
Hmm.
heraldry. You can do all kind of stuff. And then there's 10,000 people fighting in a grand war on the field. It's good, man. It's good
Yeah.
fun.
Sounds
Yeah.
nice.
No, you should put
No, it
some
was a good
armor
time.
on and go out there and swing, dude. It's great.
Good time. I don't know. I'm getting a little old for that, I think. Uh,
Yeah,
but it
it's
was a really
just
good time.
yeah,
Though
it
the
is.
wife dressed up a little bit, nothing crazy. Dressed up a little bit. I went with Adrian and his wife and his kids. They all dressed up. I did not. Not for any reason other than I knew I'd be hot, and I don't like to be hot if I can avoid it. It wasn't even that hot out, but warm blood. I'm always hot. So if I can avoid putting on costumes, I'm gonna avoid putting on costumes and just dress comfortably. Uh, Plus I look good. So, there's that.
Oh, him.
Uh, but yeah, no, it was a really good time. We walked
Yeah.
around a bit, checked it out. I thought about buying a couple because there was a guy who was selling weapons, like
Oh,
functioning ones.
sure.
Now they're
Weapons,
dulled.
leather
You have
goods,
to
there's all
sharpen
kind of
them.
people. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was
No,
a good
rent
time.
fairs are wonderful. Although I have to tell you, you saw a mirage. It's not a real thing because, as I've been told, the Hawaii people don't have culture.
That's right.
You know,
That's right. Yeah,
you know.
no culture from the Hawaii's.
No, so what you saw
We
was a
we
mirage,
we
an
as Hawaii
illusion.
people should just adopt the Hawaii and just all of us say it from like that from now on, just
Yeah,
to
the
fuck with them.
Huite. Yes.
All the non-whites who get
We are
off
the
on
Whoites in a
calling us
thousand years
calling
in the
us
future.
whites.
All the
Yeah.
anthropologists could be, what the hell was going on there?
What the hell is a Hawaii?
What is a Hawaiite? It's some mystical tribe. I bet it's a religious movement.
This
Fucker.
race died off and we can't find them. These
Yes.
Hawaii's.
Damn, damn historians. Everything is a religious movement. Everything. It's
So
unbelievable.
how often in these grand historical searches,
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
archaeology or what have you, do they come across people who were just trolling? Nothing they said's true. They're just because that's what's going to happen in the future. Because we've gone through decades now of people just fucking with everybody, just for
Well,
no reason.
I could give you the oldest joke in the world that we know of.
What is it?
It's Mesopotamian, Sumerian specifically. And it goes very simply. You're not going to understand what it means, but I'll explain it to you. The English translation would be a soldier goes
Mhm,
into a bar
mhm.
and sees nothing but a dog.
Okay.
Okay, that's the joke. But what does it mean? Because it's completely out of context for our modern conception, right? Our
Mhm,
perception. Well, both. Because this is what it means. A soldier Excuse me, it's not a soldier. A dog goes into a bar and sees nothing. Sorry, I made a mistake.
Mm,
The dog is representative of a soldier or police.
mhm.
And seeing nothing is exactly what you would think in modern times. A cop sees corruption and nonsense going on, but as long as his pocket is padded, he's good with it, and he saw nothing.
Mm.
That's what
Mhm.
it means.
Mhm.
It's talking about it's a joke about the corruption of policing. So
Yeah.
the oldest joke we have in the entire world is a going to a bar joke, right? Which is interesting because there are a lot of them. And it's also a political. It's satire, is what it is, right?
Right. Right.
So that tells you a little bit of something about humans, doesn't it?
Yes.
I mean,
We're
as
shit-heeled.
Solomon said,
That's
there
what
is
that's
nothing new under the sun.
well, that's what that was my point. Like, how do we don't really know much of anything, and the reason we don't is because what if that guy was just fucking with us? What if he wrote down a whole bunch of nonsense? We wouldn't know.
Hmm.
How would we know? In 1,000 years, they're not going to know the difference between something posted on the internet and sincerity and not. They're just not. There's no way to verify it once everybody's dead. You just have to go off of everybody else's second-hand, and third-hand, fifth, seventh, eighth, ninth-hand
Sure.
accounts.
Well,
And at that point, you're just guessing. You're just wishful thinking at that point.
the only place we have just ridiculous amounts of documentation is Rome. Right?
Yes.
Greeks, we certainly have a lot. Egypt, way less. And
Mhm.
really, with Egypt, mostly all we really have left is, their religious temple context, which doesn't tell us a lot.
Right.
Mesopotamia, we have more, right? A lot more because of the tablets. Like I
Mhm.
said, I translate receipts for bought goods in court cases with divorce or land disputes and things like that. So it's no
Mhm.
different than today, even though it's, what, 6,000 years ago. It's the same
Right.
shenanigans going on. But Rome, we do have just a plethora of information. And there is certainly sarcasm in Rome, as well as certainly satire.
Mhm.
There's quite a bit of it. A lot of politicians, for their time, senators, as they would call them, were quite satirical,
Yeah.
often using comedy to broach serious cultural issues. That happens all the time, and this is one of the difficulties of translation because did he mean that literally or did he mean that as an allegory, or comedically? This is constantly argued. For me, I think what helps me and people like me, especially historians who are way better than me, right? Is the common concept. People are people.
Yep.
I don't care where they are. I don't care what time it is. It doesn't matter. People are people. And I
Yep.
understand this really, really well because of what I translate. But mostly I do Mesopotamian. There are sometimes I get some Egyptian or some Hebrew stuff, but mostly I do the various Mesopotamian cultures, right? From Babylon to Sumer, Sumer to Babylon. And the thing I understand because my license is mid level, right? I
Yeah.
don't have a top end license. I have a mid level license. Therefore, what I get is all the kind of garbage that the fancy dudes don't want, right? So I get receipts, I get court cases, I get this banal, mundane, everyday stuff. And in a way, I'm appreciative of it because it allows me to see the face of the man at that time. And they're no different. The divorce cases I've covered, I've translated. It's just
Mhm.
like today. It's the same thing. He cheated on me. No, she cheated on me. I want this much of the property. No, she doesn't deserve it because I earned it, what have you. I sold you a bunch of sheep. No, excuse me. I bought a bunch of sheep from you, and they died in a week. I should be compensated. Just the standard bullshit of humanity. It's no different now than it was thousands of years ago. It's the same shit, different day. People are people. We truly are have not learned a damn thing.
Correct.
That's the truth of it. And all these idiots that want to go around everything is somehow a religious context, or this motivation or that motivation. No, dumbass. Humans are humans, and they're motivated by greed and fear. And that's not, it's always
Yeah.
been that way, and it will always be this way. And the level of translation I've gotten, not that, because I don't get the religious stuff, I don't get the high court or the kingly documentation, I don't get that stuff. I get the everyday mundane crap, and it's just like today, dude. And it's really interesting, isn't it? Because it's a bit of a shock to you that I'm telling you that 6,000 years ago they were arguing and bitching about exactly the same thing that's going on in your town right now.
Well, it's funny because the main reason why I I would gather these people want everything to have more significance than it does is because we have
Money.
so much. Well, that there's so much hubris in the modern world about how much more evolved, I guess, how much better we are,
Hmm.
how far we've come. Like this weird sense of pride. We haven't. We haven't.
No, we
People are
haven't.
people. They've always been people. But technology might be different. Okay, fine. But we've
Oh, yeah,
always been
technology
people.
changes. Yeah.
The I say it on here sometimes. The heart of darkness is constant. Evil's face changes never its nature. But evil's face is the face of man, and it always has been. And what that means is people just don't. We just don't change. There might be more convenience here or there. There might be this or that or whatever. But by and large, the same motivations that you have are the same motivations that this guy 5,000 years ago probably has, and
Yep.
so on and so forth.
Exactly the same.
Um, there's no real difference other than the way things might be a little bit more sophisticated in this area or that area, or less sophisticated, depending on what we're talking about. But those things are completely irrelevant to most normal, your normies, your
Sure.
vast majority of your population. Only the bleeding edge of technology, spirituality, or what have you, only those people are the ones who live in a different world than everybody else, and they always do, no matter what era we're talking about. Uh, or high level rulers like the Emperor of Rome or whatever. These people they live in the same world but in a different reality, and it's because there's so much their perspective is so much different.
Right.
Whether it's your ancient inventors or your priests or your modern day cutting edge scientists who are actually doing important work, not just the ones who are collecting paychecks. Uh, those people are living in a different situation. They're different than other people, but if you go back far enough, you'll find them in other places too. Like I think a good analogy you could use. We had a Leonardo da Vinci, right? Phenomenal, brilliant
Sure.
man, unbelievable
And an
at so many different
Archimedes.
things. But we had, you knew exactly where I was going, but we had an Archimedes before him. And now today we have an Elon Musk. These are very similar people as far as multiple proficiencies, right? Extreme skill in multiple proficiencies, multiple expertises. And that's something that's actually pretty rare, especially at that level. But it does happen.
Hmm.
People don't change that
And
much. There's only
Archimedes.
so many genes that we have, right?
That's true.
We only have so much genetic code.
Yeah, and Archimedes was known to be a lecher as well.
Yep,
But no, dude, it's the same old story. Men want to get their dick wet, and women want to get paid for it.
that's right.
It's the
That
end
is
of the
correct.
conversation. That's it.
And
The
that is
entire
one of the
history of
things
humanity.
that I would say Abrahamic, but definitely Christian religions have have one of the because yes, they are very prudish compared to many others.
Protestants
But that
particularly. Yeah,
there's an extreme of it. But if you rein that in and get it in a nice balance, that's actually a very good thing for civilization
yeah.
because we talk about things on the internet all the time about how women, they want to marry, like you said, they want to get paid for it. They want to marry up. They're always looking for the bigger, better deal. Blah 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 blah. That in proper Christian doctrine is sinful. That's called greed, ladies. You're being greedy.
Oh, sure.
That's all you're doing. We can come up with other nice terms for it, but at the end of the day, it's greed.
Hmm.
That's it. That's all it is. It's no different than me cheating somebody or doing everything I can to try and get ahead of everybody else financially. There's no real difference there if I use my brain or you use your vagina. There's no difference, right? You're still misusing the thing that was given to you as a gift from God, something valuable from your creator. You're
Mhm.
still using it for your own personal gain, beyond what is, reasonable, or beyond what is necessary. And one of the things that I think the Abrahamics, now obviously the Muslims go way too far with this, but one of the things a lot of the Abrahamic religions do, is they call that out. They say, no, you shouldn't be that way. You shouldn't be that way.
Mhm.
I don't care if it's in our nature. Yeah, so is everything a man does. If men had our way, we'd be fucking a million women. Especially when we're young,
Yeah,
it'd be a constant stream of sex for men.
it
You
would.
got to understand, we
Um,
think about that shit every 3 minutes.
and this conversation leads us to a perfect segue,
Let's do it.
because a lot of people are kind of curious, why are the Muslims, well, faking alliance with the socialists? Why is that going on, the progressives? Well, it's
Yep.
very simple. I can break it down for you very simply. Why do the Muslims treat women the way they do?
Mm,
Okay, and if you've read the Quran and the Hadith, you would know the answer to this. And
mhm.
but I will help you. I did the reading for you. Okay.
Thank you.
Here is what it is. They were finding that the men were rather rapey. And to
That's right.
solve that solution, we're going to dress these women up and make sure that these women aren't causing any kind of suggestiveness and getting the men all riled up, right? So now that is a very progressive way to think, right? It's a
Mhm,
very lefty mentality solution to a problem, where a
mhm.
conservative would say, no, we're going to teach men to control themselves and to be
That's right.
leaders in their community, and we're not going to
And
cop out
also
and blame the
teach
women.
but we're also then gonna teach women about the dangers of men for one way, but we're
That
also
true.
gonna teach
That too.
them they have to dress modestly, they have to carry themselves with certain dignity and respect,
Yeah, but
um,
you get my
and to
point.
trust and to trust their families and try. The other thing we would also do that especially Europeans have always done is teach our women how to defend theirselves to some level.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Japanese do
Anyway,
that
go ahead.
too. But
Yes,
yeah, my point being is this maybe makes it a little bit easier. The progressives and the Muslims have a lot of the same thinking on how to solve the situation. It's not
that's right.
about fixing the problem; it's about eliminating the problem,
Yep,
and
hiding it.
they're hiding it, and that's not how you do things properly,
Correct.
right? But and segue is, go ahead.
Yes, riots erupted in LA after immigration raids, then tensions escalated.
Mhm.
We talked about this a little bit, but yeah, no, that's exactly what they do. This is why things never get better when you implement their bullshit, because the only way to solve these problems is whether we like it or not. And I know you don't, Chester.
Mhm.
The people who commit those heinous acts need to be removed from society either permanently, as in killed, executed, or they need to be at the very least extricated from society, exiled,
Yes.
put over here where they can no longer be a threat.
Well,
Um,
I might not
that's what
like
the
it.
Europeans did,
Yeah, no,
and it
I
worked.
understand that. I might not like it, but I also understand that some motherfuckers need getting dead.
That's right.
I do.
Got
I
to
do.
go.
I just
We need to go back to the old way and let the family have the right of first refusal.
all right, fine.
Simple as that.
But
That's how they used to do it. That's even biblical, by the way. Even
I
biblical.
I'm
So the Christians
just
can't bitch.
I'm anti-violence. Rather though, can't we just all get along?
No, you are a historian, sir. You know the answer to this
I do.
question.
I do. I do. Yeah. But anyway, of course, the reason I mention this is a riot in Los Angeles. What is it, Tuesday? Right. And we
Yeah.
know this is normal shit over there. It's the worst state in the union. We all know this. The reason I brought this one up particularly is because of the government response. um, they've always had riots. They always have these difficulties. All these blue cities are much worse to live in than anywhere
Yep.
else.
Like,
But
on the
this
planet, just
time,
about.
Yeah,
Jesus.
but this time it's different, Thundero. It's different
It is.
because normally we get some kind of platitudes from the government people, right?
Yes.
They won't directly touch the subject, but they'll agree that, peace is best and these standard platitudes we get from politicians. However, this time we're not getting that. These politicians are coming out and said, yes, riot. Stand up against them, fight, 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 is what they're saying. Now, that is out of left field because I don't know if you understand our laws, but that falls under sedition,
That's right.
right? Now, Maxine Waters, that crazy old lady, Congress lady from California. Now, do understand how she got her job. It came out of the Rodney King riots of the 90s. That's
Yep.
where she got her job. Okay. And she's been in there ever since, just sucking up every little penny she can. And I do believe she's being prosecuted for her criminal activities, which about time. When are you going to
Yep.
get to Pelosi, please? But anyway, um, this amount of nonsense. Now, to be fair, this crazy ass lady, Mayor Bass, she needs to be arrested. Plain and
Correct.
simple. What she said is
Yes.
full on sedition, which, if you don't know what that
Send the
word means, it
marshals
means
in.
treason.
Send the marshals in
She needs
with
to
the
be
slap
arrested.
cuffs on them.
She needs to be arrested. It's full on
Yep.
sedition what she's doing. What she's saying and what she's calling for, right? It's seditious. Now, this asshole is smarter than her. Okay. Now, and he's not saying it directly, so he hasn't violated any sedition laws, but he's a dick and he is supporting it in his own way, but he's using platitudes,
That's
which
right.
is not illegal, right? So he's an asshole that needs to be gotten taken out of power, but he's not a criminal. Well, I think he
Right.
is a criminal, but in this case, right? Now, keep in mind, this is a rich boy that's one of the 5 founding families of California, Newsom's, right? He's just a
Right.
rich boy that's been given the silver spoon and given the ticket, right? And he's an absolutely inept because most of his time he wants to go to fancy dinners, have his Coke and his girls on the side. That's all he really cares about. He's a
Sure.
Caligula, is what he is.
Yeah.
But this little asshole, you know where she's coming from? Same place that Maxine Waters is. She
She's a
used to
gremlin.
be a rioter, a protester, an activist. That's where she's coming from. Same shit, right? But this lady right here and several other people in the government in California have gone beyond the pale and they have become seditious. You cannot call for violence. You cannot do that. That is illegal. You have free speech, but free speech has consequences. And sedition is a consequence, right? So
Yep.
I don't understand why she's not arrested immediately for that shit. And to be honest, Newsom is the one who should arrest her.
Yeah. He
He's
should,
a
but he
nepo
won't.
baby. He is.
He apparently just put out a official formal request for the Trump administration to rescind the deployment of troops in LA County. Just a few hours ago. I just saw it on Twitter.
Well,
Um,
no. How about
Mr.
that?
Newsom did. Yeah, do something about it. No.
Hmm.
Listen, listen, these guys they go on and on and on. They have sucked so much Abraham Lincoln dick because they hate the Confederate flag for some reason, which isn't even the Confederate flag, it's the battle flag of Virginia. Um, they hate that thing so much that they've talked endlessly about the Civil War and how this is settled, right? It's all been settled and states don't really have any authority and they can't do this and they can't do that. And then as soon the moment that a president gets in there and is like, hey, what you're doing stupid, stop it. I'm going to send troops to help. And if you can't get it under control, I will, which is actually his job as president.
Of course.
If you don't believe me, ask
He
George
is the
Washington. He did it himself.
Yeah, he is. He's
Um,
the commander in chief, buddy.
yes. The second that happens, all of a sudden they're out here with putting on gray uniforms, talking about state sovereignty.
Oh
You
no, they're
motherfuckers.
all
We see
liars.
you.
They're all
We
liars, yeah.
see you. You
But
already they already said it. This is settled. The president can do this. They settled it many times. Whether you talk about the Civil
well,
War,
they
whether you
gave him the
talk about
power.
Reconstruction,
Democrats are the
whether you
ones that
talk about the segregation, desegregation, whether you talk about the gold confiscations, whether you talk about All these things, even Nixon with his war on drugs, all these things, they kept giving the president more and more power, the
Yep.
executive more and more power. You
Yep.
don't get to bitch now. We told you that was a bad idea, but you wouldn't listen.
Right.
So now the shoe's on the other foot, and we're
Right.
going to stomp.
And another thing they're doing here, of course, the press is completely bought and sold, right? They're soulless actors that just say what their whatever political mantra they're told to say. However,
Yep.
one of the things they're really pushing here is these National Guards, these 2,000. With shit, I would have said 200,000. All right. But
Yep.
these National Guard, they're acting as if they come from some fantasy Trump pocket dimension where he holds his little conquering army. And it's like you do realize when a National Guard is called up, they're called from the state they're in first. So all
Yes.
those guys are from that area. Many of them probably live in LA.
That's right. Or very nearby.
It's like, do you not even understand how things work? It's fuck, dude.
It is.
The
It is.
nonsense I hear coming out of these frickin' politicians and these news people, it's such bullshit. And the problem is the average American is so dumbed down and stuck in their frickin' smartphones and their little Twitter files and also
Yep.
coked up on sugar that they have no clue about the law of the land and how
Ooh,
things
that's
work
the big
within
one. He
their own
said it.
country.
He
Fuck
said the
you.
S word. He said the S word, sugar.
I did.
Chester, I'll know that this world has gotten serious about public health when we treat when we treat sugar worse than we do tobacco, because it is far more deadly and far more
It is.
dangerous. Not only does it fuck up your endocrine system, not only does it fuck up your actual everything, really, your whole body, it also it also is addictive on a level that's near meth
Super addictive.
levels,
Yeah, super
super
addictive.
addictive, and it fucks up your brain chemistry. You don't believe me? Don't believe me? Don't have any for a while. See what happens.
It does dumb you
Now,
down.
yes,
Yeah.
you're gonna need some sugar. But you'll get if you're eating a proper diet. If you're eating
Mhm.
some vegetables, you're eating some meat, eating maybe a little bit of fruit, you'll get plenty of natural sugar. You'll be all right.
Well,
The problem is we've overloaded our system since we were children with so much extra sugar that our normal sugar intake is all foobar. It's foobar. So we don't know our bodies don't know what it's doing anymore when it comes to it. It takes about a year, give or take, to reset it properly with a real proper low sugar, low extra sugar, I should say, low extra sugar diet to get it back to where it needs to go. If you go on like carnivore or whatever, that doesn't
mhm.
take as long, but that's a permanent fix, meaning you can't really go off of it or your body's just going to revert back to the way it was. Um, and some people have really bad experiences with only eating meat. But regardless, the sugar is a serious problem. It is the biggest drug in the world, and Americans are ridiculously hooked on it. Ridiculous. It's in everything. You can't buy bread without sugar in it in America. You can't. It doesn't happen. Even if
Well,
you buying healthy bread, unless you're buying like the really expensive shit, it's got some form of sugar in it. I promise you it does. I promise you. It's a problem, and it's one that absolutely needs to be addressed. So it's interesting that you mentioned that because I said that earlier to my wife when we were at the grocery store, and now a lot of the stores here, I don't know if they do this in Japan or not, but you know how in some stores they make you walk through a little maze to get to the register, but the maze is like candy bars and what have you. At least they do that here
of
now.
course,
Yeah, they do that in
compulsion
every store
buying,
here
right?
now.
Yeah,
Yeah, they do that in just about every store here now, and it pisses me off because it just feels third world as shit. Like it's
well,
just I
they
don't know, it's just
yeah, yeah,
you
they're
know,
going off that instinct. Well, no, I
yeah,
mean, let me verify a little bit on that, if
yeah,
I may. Um, Everything you eat is sugar. It is turned
that's right.
into sugar for
Yes,
calorie. That's
carbon.
how our body works. All your food intake is turned into one manner of sugar or another. You have glucose,
Right.
fructose, galactose. You have the compound sugars like sucrose, lactose, maltose. These are all of these sugars are just different breaking down of things. Like something like a bread is going to be a compound form because bread is this weird little magic food we created somehow. But
Yes.
uh, but um, there's all kind of sugars. Everything you eat becomes sugar. Everything. The problem
Yep.
is really comes into the fructose categories,
Yes.
and some of the other combined ones.
And some
Um,
glucose.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, it's these things, particularly corn syrup in America, is kicking your ass,
That's right.
right?
And it's super addictive.
It
It's
is.
and it really does fuck with your brain chemistry, not in just a normal, low blood sugar type way. But it's interesting you hear this term low blood sugar, low blood sugar. Chester, you realize that I know you know this. Through pretty much all of human history, most people existed on a few meals a week,
Yeah,
right? Low
it's
blood
true.
sugar wasn't a thing.
No.
Our bodies were completely adapted to the amount of intake we had. Now, they were still, if you were in that situation, you were malnourished, sure, you needed more food. But there wasn't this idea that you just get all this, you get all messed up in your head and just because you haven't eaten that day. That's a modern problem. That's a very modern problem. And I genuinely believe it's because we've overloaded our system. Our system's hooked on it. It's withdrawal. Just like if an alcoholic doesn't have his alcohol, he gets sick. I think it's the same thing. I think we've overloaded our system so heavily because I know people who say they don't have that crash. They don't get that because they've rebalanced their system. Usually it's people on the carnivore diet or something similar. They've
Hmm.
rebalanced their system
Sure.
and now they don't have that energy crash out of nowhere because they haven't eaten or whatever. They don't get the brain fog. All that stuff I really truly believe is sugar addiction. And it just hasn't been diagnosed as that yet because the sugar industry is very, very powerful. And
Mm.
who's gonna pay for the study that takes away everybody's cakes?
Yeah.
Who's gonna
Well,
pay for that?
now it's the sucrose is the worst of it, right?
Yes.
And it's because that is what, like what in America, corn syrup is being put into all your prepared foods. But
Yep.
what am I, Robert Kennedy? The
Eh.
beverages. Let me give you an example of a bit of a statistic. Okay, globally. The average consumption of sugars, all types of sugars, is around 50 pounds or so for the average human on Earth, right?
Right.
But in North America, you know, America and South America, it's about 110 pounds of sugar a year. And of course, worldwide, it's going to be all types of sugars, not just sucrose, right?
Right.
But in America, the
White
vast
death.
amount of sugar you're putting in your body from your sodas, your little cakes, your little Debbies, all that kind of stuff is sucrose based. And you're putting in literally double what the rest of the world is putting in, and it's the worst type of sugar for you. So,
That's right.
this is the reality of it. Honestly, if you just, what I do is I limit myself, usually Sunday, to having sugars,
Hmm.
and the rest of the week I eat normally, and it's whole food stuff that my wife prepares, right?
Right.
Um, and to give you an example, if you noticed Africa, right?
Yep.
They're kind of skinny.
Yes.
Yeah, and but they consume less than the world average in Africa. They're more closer to like 18 pounds a year. I mean, excuse me, 44 pounds a year, 40
Right.
pounds a year, something like that. So this is a huge problem. And in the Americas and a place that is affected by America, like Polynesia, because they're the fattest people in the world, but they are
Hmm.
eating on American products, it's the sucrose in the prepared foods that is kicking your ass. And the fact that
Yep.
the average American is eating double what the world does. And that's not including the fatties. I mean, the morbidly obese people. I can't even imagine. It could be two, three, four times that. And this is why you have a huge number of people, particularly in women, that can't live past their 50s, because just like with the wrestlers and their steroids and hormones, because they've just busted up their body. And the reason why this kills women at a much higher rate than men is very simple. Women's bodies are designed to carry more fat than men's because, they
Right.
make babies.
Yep.
They're literally designed to carry fat, much more than a man. So this is why it's so much more deadly, and particularly the sucrose element of it, the specific type of sugar. And it's a shame because you don't want to overload any of those sugars. Like fructose is, literally coming from fruit, right?
Right.
And
Right.
fruit's good for you in a certain amount. If you're sitting there slugging down watermelon and oranges all day, you're gonna bust yourself up, dude.
Yes, you're going to be deficient, massively deficient
Yeah,
in other areas.
yeah. But anyway,
Um,
back to this bitch. Um,
back to this bitch. How did we get talking about sugar? Chester, what did you do?
I
How did we
don't
get on
know.
that?
I don't know. But the thing with this lady, though, it is straight up sedition, man. It is straight up sedition. And this guy's a problem. He's a chameleon. He will be whatever he needs at the moment to win, because that's all he cares
Yeah.
about is winning. This lady here is an activist. They're different. Newsom doesn't care any more than General Mills gives a shit about transgender rights or gay June. They don't care.
Right.
This guy doesn't care. This lady does. She's an activist. She's an actual lesbian activist. I mean, shocking, you know, with the lesbian part. However, I want this bitch arrested. I want her arrested, dude, because what she did was criminal. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that. You can't call for violence. And that's exactly what she did, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, is anybody in America talking about this? Are the media talking about this at all? Is Trump talking about this? Are the Republicans talking about this? Is anybody?
Not that I've seen. I mean, there's
Shit.
people on the Twitter machines bitching about it. Now we have the Mexican president apparently saying, if necessary, we'll mobilize. We don't want taxes on remittances from our fellow countrymen from the U.S. to Mexico. Um,
What does she
she's
mean by
basically
that?
telling she wants. I don't know. She apparently she's threatening to invade America. Good luck. Um, with your non-military, you're gonna send the cartels in to do your dirty work.
Oh,
They
they
work
already
for us,
did. They
stupid.
already did. Who do you think's
But
doing this
regardless,
shit?
what she's saying is she doesn't. She wants them to keep protesting and keep doing what they need. Keep causing a mess. The Mexicans who are supposedly just as American as you and me, Chester,
Mhm.
as they work at the behest of a foreign president. That's interesting.
You know, I,
Um,
I think in a nice private conversation, Trump needs to talk to Mr. Putin and see if we can't have a few of those hypersonic missiles accidentally miss their target by thousands of miles.
yeah.
Um,
No,
but
as somebody else said, because some dumb, I'm assuming he's a Mexican, posted a map from 1835 when Mexico still had huge swaths of America,
yeah, we bought that
and
shit, dude.
and this guy goes, everyone is an imperialist for the empire they actually like, and if we have to do this again, we're taking Baja this time.
What are you talking about? You own Baja.
No, us, America. This
Oh,
guy's an American saying, this time we're going to take Baja. You don't get to keep it.
yeah, but we bought most of that. Texas is a different situation, fair.
Texas
But
fought them themselves. That
yeah,
was
they took it all
before
by
we got
themselves. They
involved.
weren't America
Yeah,
at the time. They joined us later, and they joined us in the smartest way. But
that's right.
the Louisiana purchase, the purchase of California and all that stuff. We paid for that, dude.
Correct.
We bought that outright.
Correct.
So
And we've been paying for it ever since.
and we have. But anyway, it's just like I said, a riot in Los Angeles is nothing new. No one's surprised that LA is rioting about some dumbass thing. Same with like Paris. Oh no, Paris has a riot. You see the media always go crazy over it. Dude, every damn week it's Paris. I mean, LA is not much different. It is interesting because, California in general, although there are conservatives there, but let's just keep to the city of LA. We have the blue city of LA and the blue city of New York, bookending the country, right? And
Yeah.
we know New York is an absolute travesty of a state, and the city. We know this. But we don't ever see anywhere near as much nonsense in New York as we do LA, right?
Right.
Not even close. A matter of fact, the Chicago in the middle seems to literally be a wave. So it must be a Western thing. I don't know.
Mm.
Too damn hot? I'm not sure. But this lady needs to be arrested. Of course, she won't be. But it's not right, dude. It's not right. And you know what I'd like to see? This is my honest opinion on it, because a lot of times I don't give my opinion at all. I deal more with facts, right? What's the information say? But this is my opinion. Okay. There has been a movement in California to break it into 3 to 5 pieces. I say we
Yep.
endorse it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
wholeheartedly,
100%. I actually
whole
think we need a
with full
constitutional
throat.
amendment that limits the amount of people can be in a state. Once you reach that number, we have to figure some other way out of breaking it up. Uh, because California is just it's massive. It's one of the if it was its own country, it'd be one of the biggest countries in the world,
Sure.
and it'd be one of the wealthiest and one of the So it should be. I honestly do think it should be broken up. I think that should be something we put in the federal constitution that a size limit effectively for a state, and then once it gets to a certain size, you just got to draw, chop the map up until you get it to wherever it needs to
Uh-huh.
be.
Well,
Um,
keep in mind
because
with
the point of this is to keep everything in balance, and
right.
California is so big and so wealthy compared to many of the other states that yes, we have the electoral college and we have the House and we have the Senate, and these are things that are designed to try and keep the balance of power. But it's to the point now where it's just too much, and it's become such a lodestone on the rest of the country. As much as the Californians want to shit on the what they call the flyover states, um, you don't happen without us. Period.
No, and when you talk about, let's give an example with the flyover states. That's a perfect segue.
Yep.
Because California has what, 40 million residents, right?
I think it's
Um,
over 50 some.
Maybe. But when it comes down to people who are actually paying actual taxes, it's only about 6 million people. Now,
Right.
therefore, 6 million people.
Oh no, it's 39 million. So they lost a lot in a
Wow,
woo.
yeah. Well, people are leaving to go cause the same trouble somewhere else.
Yep.
But only about 6 million of them actually pay any kind of taxes, and that's from very little taxes up to a lot of taxes is for the rich. But if you look at some of these so-called flyover states, their populations are very similar, and of course, you
Yep.
have much higher number of taxpayer in those states because everyone's working, right? When
Right.
you look at our overall unemployment, it's fairly low, and of course, Trump's administration is creating actual jobs and that's what's pissing him off too, because every month they expect it to collapse, but he just gets more and more jobs are being created.
Hey,
The markets
that's true.
are constantly going up. Inflation is going down. He's winning constantly, and they can't
You know
stand it.
why? You know why all that's happening? Because the cost of energy is going down, which, as he said from the beginning,
Yeah.
is the linchpin that
Of
holds it
course it is.
all together.
Of course it
Because
is.
of course it is.
Yeah.
And now gas here today, I just got gas, is the lowest I've seen it probably since he was president again. And it was about 249, I think, 239, something like that. So that's pretty low for over the last 5 years or so. It's been up well over
Well, I
three,
do recall
350.
70-cent gas in my life, so.
So do I. When he was president the first time, and even he was concerned with this, it got down here to 117. $1.07. That's effectively with inflation. Once you factor that in, that's the cheapest it's ever been in either of our lifetimes. Once you factor in inflation,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
But
and that's what freaked everybody out. If you remember,
right, right, right.
OPEC was freaking out. Everybody was freaking out because it was so
Right.
cheap.
And, my point I'm trying to make with this, though, is California has a very, very low contribution to the American thing. The American, tax and our livelihood. Now they claim that we pay them 170 billion dollars a year. Realize there's countries that don't have budgets that big. Okay,
Yeah.
we pay them 170 billion. They say, yeah, but we pay more, 80 million more in taxes than what you give us. That is not true. That is a full-on lie by Newsom, 100% lie. Now, as
Mhm.
far as the money, not taxes, money that California draws in, it's one of the highest in the country, if not the highest. But yet, at the end of the year, they're always in the red. Why is that?
Can't imagine.
Yeah, I wonder why. But it's all bullshit. It's all nonsense. And if Trump can somehow manage in his period, his 4 years, to break California down and force it to heading in the right direction, it would be great not only for Californians, but for America in general. Because this kind of nonsense, this seditious bullshit that we're getting out of California, no, 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 and fuck that guy. All right, let me
Yep.
move on because I'll speak all night if I don't. I'm moving on.
He's moving on. No, that's what needs to happen. Unironically, is all these states. Illinois needs to be broken up. All of them. Anyway, The Expanse, even Texas, I would say. The Expanse, Osiris Reborn, and now there's too many colons. What are we doing? That's not how sentence structure works. New sci-fi RPG game.
Yeah, the staff wrote that one.
Yeah, why is there I mean, you didn't even need anything. Why
Yeah,
did you put a colon there?
yeah. Well, the reason I put this up is because the summer showcase, of course, is kicking off, showing
Yep,
all the new video games coming out, and I
here they
watched it.
come.
And I used to love E3 coming out every year. I'd look forward to it, along with some of the expo conventions with tech and stuff like that. And of course, we've lost that because of COVID and nonsense and stupidity. However, I watched like a 2-hour showcase on all the new video games coming out because I do like video games, whether I play them a lot or not. I
Mhm.
was bored.
Yeah, there's
That's not,
that's what I've uh that's what I've heard.
dude. That's not right.
No, that's not what you want at all. That's not what we're looking for at all.
And the thing I saw with so many of these games is even though with the summer showcase, this is talk about PC gaming and console gaming. It's not talking about mobile gaming. They have separate things for that. But everything I saw is really should be mobile because it's all kind of girl or little kid based, which is fine. But they're mainly on mobile stuff,
That's right.
right?
That's correct.
But this is
Yeah.
PC stuff. Now, I saw a couple of things that looked pretty interesting. Like there was this origami game. I think it was called Hirogami, which is quite clever. It's interesting that you can change into different origami characters for different challenges. It's a side scroller like Oddworld or even something like a more simple version of Super Mario. But
Right.
and it looked really interesting, actually. Oh, that's clever. But it's not for me at all. It's very
Yeah.
cutesy, it's very girly, and some of them were even more so that, which isn't a problem, but it's just this is supposed to be with Steam. This was in collaboration with Steam. So it's a PC based thing. And it's like, who are you making this for? Dudes aren't going to play these games. But out of the whole thing, I didn't see anything that actually I would be interested in. I don't know why there's no like Dragon Dogma esque RPGs or there's nothing. Nothing. Matter of fact, a lot of the graphics in these games look like they did 20 plus years ago. I mean, what the
Yeah.
hell's going on? However, the very first trailer I saw in that presentation was this one. It's not a game I would play, but it did look good though. And The Expanse is a TV show which I enjoyed season one, maybe two, and then it got woke, and I started not enjoying it, and I stopped watching it. However, like I said, this isn't really my kind of game. This is more like Gears of War or Mass Effect or Halo or something like that. But it did look really good though. So there was one game out of 2 hours that looked interesting.
One game.
Holy crap! One game,
One whole game.
one
That's
whole game. And it's not even a game I would play. I wouldn't spend money on this. It's just not my type of gaming. But I can admit it looked good. There was a Mafia game that looked good too, but that's one of those movie games.
yeah.
It looked good too, but I'm not going to give you 60, $80 so I can occasionally do something in a movie, an interactive
Yeah.
movie. Fuck off. Um,
Right.
if I want to, I'll just watch later someone just collect the entire movie and watch the 2 hour movie online. Right? I
I
mean,
do
if
that sometimes
that
with
right.
games. I'm not. games I'm interested in the story or the world, but I can't be fucked
Yeah,
to
I
play
can't be
it.
bothered, right? But anyway, if you like Mass Effect, Halo, if you like that kind of stuff, this game does look good, dude. It does, and it doesn't look woke at all. Even though the series became very woke, there was like a female in the lead, but I think you can play any character you want. Actually, I'm not
Probably.
sure, but it looked good. But the main point of reason I put this up here was that's it. 2 hours, dude, and they were rapid firing too. It wasn't
Yeah.
like they sat and talked for 10 minutes between each one. It was trailer after trailer after trailer, 2 hours of trailers. And the only thing that I thought was even remotely PC worthy was this one. What the hell, dude? What the hell? What's going on? Over the past many years, we get a lot of more interesting RPG games, but they're all ultra woke, right? Now,
Right.
to be fair, there was less wokeness this year than I've seen in years, so that I guess is a positive. Although the most woke one, I had to laugh because basically you have a team of Black Africans, not Americans, Black Africans, and they're going out, and the whole game is you trying to sneak in and steal stolen African artifacts, right? And of
Right.
course, they show the Africans artifacts in the trailer, and it's all that dumb wooden masks and dumbass statues. Because I'm sorry, Black Africa, but you ain't got anything interesting in your history. I'm sorry, it all looks like dumb crap that someone would see at a freaking thrift store. But it's just nonsense crap, right? They showed us that in the Wakanda films too. It was like, yeah, that's not very impressive, dude, right?
Yeah.
But the point was, who the hell's going to play that game? Nobody's going to play that game. Now, if you made it the idea that you're some international covert team that is going around and trying to repatriate various stolen artifacts throughout history, and Africa's part of that, that maybe you would find someone to be interested in that. But it's only about African artifacts, and you can only play Africans who are, I guarantee you, going to be racist as hell, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's that was the general thing. I watched it with Asmongold, which I do tend to watch a lot of things video game related with him and a few others, because you might be surprised. I mean, he's a liberal, but he's kind of like a Joe Rogan liberal or a Dave
Yeah.
Rubin type liberal. He's practical, and he thought he was
I agree.
that's yeah, he was saying the same shit. It's absolute bullshit. Um, but I just put this here because I couldn't believe it, dude. I've watched video game showcases that piss me off because they look good, but they're woke as hell. Sure, but I've never been bored by one.
Right. Yeah. No,
That's my
it's
rant. So
it's not good. It's not good. The state of gaming is it's in a very bad position
it
because
is.
a lot of these big companies have been so infiltrated by these retards,
I'm going to
they
get some
can't
coffee.
course correct. And now we're starting to see this is exactly what happened to Ubisoft, right? This is exactly what happened to Ubisoft. They couldn't course correct, uh, and they couldn't course correct in time. And look at them; they had to sell off huge swaths of their company, basically their whole company. If we're being honest, like they sold off all their damn major franchises to China. They just straight up sold it off, and there's really not anything that anyone can do about it except stop this stuff. But for whatever reason, they won't do it. They refuse to do it. Um, and it's a shame. It's a real shame that these companies have been so co-opted that they just cannot course correct now. And in order to do it would cost them an exorbitant amount of money. An exorbitant amount of money. So they're stuck. And now you're going to see, and I do think you're going to see more and more of this filter out eventually over
I
time.
think
It's just
so.
going to take a
Yeah,
long time in gaming to get there, I think, because these
5 years.
activists are going to all, yeah, they're going to all need to be removed.
Yeah,
It's, I mean,
five
look
five
at
to
what's
ten
happened in
years.
the last few years. COVID was a big stomp on gaming.
For
It just
everything.
was
Yeah.
for everything, and so it kind of slowed down the correction, I think, because it was already starting then. And I had been saying 2022, 2023 is when you would really start to see this big pushback into 2024, and I was completely validated on that. And now we're starting to see the ripple effects from that, and slowly but surely, like you mentioned, Pride Month. You haven't
Hmm.
really heard shit about Pride Month this
Good.
time.
Yeah, because the
You know,
corporates don't care, dude.
they
They
do
don't
not
actually
care.
give shit. Yeah.
And so my point is, these these uh these activists have lost. They've lost. They just don't realize it yet. And we're going to have this for a little while. These big corporations are still trying to navigate their bureaucracy and get themselves in a position to where they can get back to basics and back to doing what they need to do. They've just been lied to. They've been sent down a flim flam because most of them weren't in on the scam. They just were doing what they thought was the best thing because they were told it was the best thing by all their so-called experts. But the truth of the matter is, it isn't. Ubisoft is the death knell. It's the canary in the coal mine. Look what
Oh yeah.
happened to them. They're done basically.
Yeah, yeah, they
Um,
are. Well,
and
Chinese
they
probably
went
gonna buy it.
from they did. The Chinese did buy it.
Oh, did
Tencent
they?
bought up all of their major property
There
franchises,
you go.
controlling stake in all their major franchises.
There you go.
Uh, so Ubisoft still exists, but they're a name effectively. Uh,
Yeah,
and
like
that's
Sega.
just the way it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just the way it
Yep.
is because they refused to purge the activists. So the first one of these big companies that does it and makes a show of it, makes a spectacle of it, and talks about they want to just focus on making They take the Tom Cruise method where we're going to talk about the games.
Yeah, you just
Thank you.
got to make
I'll talk
good
about making
games,
games.
though. It's not just doing that. You also have to make a
Well,
good game.
when you do that, you see, it's kind of like when you have an infection, Chester. Right?
Mhm.
If say you get a real bad infection in your toe, it
I
hurts
had
every time
one
you take
this
a step.
year. How did you
It
know?
hurts. It
It
hurts every time
does.
you take a step, and then eventually, as you clear out the infection, it heals up. It don't hurt no more.
Yeah, I fixed it.
That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen with a lot of these companies, and they're gonna clean out the infection.
Hmm.
AI is going to help with this dramatically. Clean up the
That's true.
infection because most of those people have fake jobs anyway. They're just respond to email jobs that aren't really
Yeah.
necessary, but they make it so that the people who do the necessary stuff don't have to respond to emails effectively. So they're not real jobs. And if the AIs can collate and do all that stuff for them, well, they'll just get
Right.
fired.
Well, and we're
And
seeing
that's
that
what's
with like
happening.
what Doge did, right? Because
Yes.
they were complaining that of the jobs that were cut from the government, even though we have, well, keep in mind, unemployment rate is dropping. At the same time, he's firing a lot of people from the government. It shows you something. But they're complaining, why is 100,000 of these people that have lost their job all black women? Gee, I wonder why.
Can't imagine.
I could, yeah, it's just there's no reason that should
Mystery.
happen. But
Well, that's the other thing that's happening too, is we're starting to see normal Americans, mostly white Americans, because there's the ones who are so afraid of it,
mhm,
but our brown compatriots in the Hispanics and the black ones who have never been, you know, they have end fatigue to the highest degree. Those people are all finally starting to say enough. They're not afraid of it anymore. And this is all a cultural shift. We're seeing it all throughout. So you're seeing it in gaming. It's just done. The grift is over. 2020 they used up empathy is one of these things that has a shelf life. You have a limit. It's like a credit card. You got a credit limit on your empathy. And once you use up your empathy, you're fucked. You're just fucked. And that's what these people did. They used up all their empathy with 2020 and the bullshit and all this stuff since then. And I don't think the general public, or at least a big portion of it, most of what you'll get now is people just roll their eyes or they'll get mad and they'll just be like, no, I'm not dealing with this shit. And I think that is why you see stuff like that. I think that is why you see there's more honesty than there used to be. One of the
mm,
reasons why America felt better when Trump won, whether you're conservative or not, even I saw liberals saying this, things do feel better.
they
Feels
do.
weird to say. I think Cenk Uygur said that actually. Things feel better with Trump as president. It's
No, it's
weird.
true.
Something to
Yeah,
that effect. It's because we're allowed to be more honest with Trump as president. Everybody knew Biden's brain didn't work, and anybody who's telling you they didn't is either their brain doesn't work or they're lying.
they're lying.
We had to live a lie.
They're
We had to
lying.
live these lies for all this time, and that's one of the lies. The other lie that we all have to pretend is like we don't know who causes all these
Yeah,
ridiculous problems. Like we don't know. We all know it. Everybody knows it. It's not a secret, but yet we all have to play make believe because we
yeah,
might offend somebody.
yeah.
And I
Now,
think that's
which
done.
I never really got the memo on that, but I clearly I haven't. Alan says I like Asmongold. Never want to enter his house though. Yeah, it's almost like he lives in the same dimension with Eustace and Muriel. I wouldn't want to go there either.
Yeah.
But anyway, did you
No,
like that reference? That's my children's fault.
that was something.
Yeah.
Asmund is he seems like a decent guy, but that house situation is just there's no
Oh,
excuse.
he's
You're a
filthy.
multimillionaire.
He's a
You're a
neckbeard. Yeah.
multimillionaire, bro. You could afford to pay a team of people to keep your house. He could have
Yeah,
a
but he
full-time
can't.
staff.
He can't do that because his image is that. That's his
He
whole
should though.
shtick, right? He's
He
the
should though. He
basement
could still keep
dwelling
that image, just keep
gamer.
that one room disgusting and make the rest of his
Oh,
house gorgeous.
he
Do the
maybe he
opposite of what
does.
e-girls do. You
Maybe
know
he
those no, he
does.
doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't.
Oh,
We've
okay.
seen pictures from the rest of his house. He actually lives that life. He just fell through his roof or his ceiling recently
Did he?
because his house is falling apart.
Wow. Yeah.
He's trying to
Well,
find he's
then he
got
just
dead
is what
animal
he is,
cells and
and I respect it.
well, my point is, if you ever notice there's a stereotype of e-girls, right? They all take these pictures and their rooms look all cute and everything. Well, that's the one corner of that room that they kept up and they did all that stuff. The rest of it's just filth, right?
Yeah.
And he could do the opposite. He could have his one room for his stream and just be filth, and the rest of it could just be
Yeah.
nice and immaculate and everything.
When I was
Eh,
a kid, yeah, I
I
don't get
couldn't
it
do it.
either, dude.
I
When I
couldn't
was
do
a
it.
kid, I had a stint of selling vacuum cleaners.
Yeah.
And I went house to house. Of course, I had to go through training, and then I did some on my own. I can sell, but I don't like it because I feel bad. I'm just not a good salesman. I'm the worst person to be a salesman. But whatever. Um, I was surprised by how what the percentage of filthy ass people is. It's
Yeah.
high because I'm the type of person, if something is out of line, it bothers me. It has to be straight. My wife fucks with me constantly about it because she thinks it's funny. But my
It is
house
funny.
is freaking immaculate, right?
I
Um,
love your wife. Her and I'd get along great.
sure, but but I mean, I have an immaculate house, and that's probably too much so. But
Yeah,
I don't understand people that live in filth, though, man. Just clean,
no,
it's not hard just to clean up a little bit, just a little bit. Doesn't have to
especially
be perfect.
nowadays.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Especially nowadays. But
You know,
especially when you got money and you could just pay a whole bunch of people to come do it. He could pay them once or twice a week. They
sure, have a
come
maid
in,
come in twice a week. It's pretty normal. A
boom,
lot of
boom,
people do
boom,
it. Yeah,
done and dusted. And honestly, one of the things they say when you start making some decent money, not great money, but decent money, you're very comfortable. One of the biggest upgrades you can have, especially as a young man, is to hire a maid.
yeah,
Have a maid service come in couple times a month, couple times a week, whatever you can afford, and your life will just immediately improve
yeah. I
in
think
ways you
twice a week is
can't
standard.
imagine. It is, yeah, but it
Yeah,
just depends what you can afford because some maids are expensive.
sure.
But, uh, but even twice a month would be better than nothing. Because
Oh yeah,
if you
yeah,
get the big package, they're gonna deep clean. They're gonna get in there and get in the nooks and the crannies, and I don't wanna be doing all that. I'll do it. I don't
yeah.
wanna be doing all that. I'd much rather give somebody some money and have them do it, to be honest
Well,
with you.
I would the standard joke for me would be that's what my wife's for. However, my wife does not clean satisfactory to my satisfaction. So
Oh, this guy. You've only been married to her for 25 years,
yeah, well,
Chester.
30 actually. But no, I have to do it myself because I let her think she's doing it, but no, yeah,
That's funny. She's
it's
not there right now, I take
no,
it, is what
she's
you're saying.
not. But she literally has the female elbow, right?
Yeah.
Where they're cleaning something, it's just kind of flapping, it's not doing anything. You got to put some elbow grease in there.
Yeah, get that bend
Yeah,
in there, get that
yeah.
tight.
But I let her do her thing, and then when she's not here, I go and clean properly.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my mental issues, not yours. Now what the hell?
Uh-huh. I figured we'd talk about this. R-Truth's WWE return at Money in the Bank sparks work debate. I don't know if it was, if the whole thing was a work. I had a feeling it might be,
We
and the
mentioned it
reason I
last week.
did,
Yeah.
yeah, the reason I did is just because the way he worded his tweet was very corporate, I think is the
Yeah,
word I
but
wanna use. It didn't feel like Ron Killings. I've known of Ron Killings, watched his whole career pretty much, Mr. Killings,
sure.
even when he was K Quick, when he wrestled under the name K Quick. He's not that guy, right? He's not like crass or anything, but he doesn't that was too polished, too prim, too proper.
Well,
It kind of felt to me like it came off of out of a writer's room or something,
right.
and
But
it may have.
here's the problem, though. The only person who's saying it's a work is Triple H.
Yeah,
Everyone else, including him, are saying that it was not a work. Triple H is saying it is all part of the show, of course. But Sean Ross said it. Sapp said it's not a work. The one who I think was the most interesting in this was Cody. I think his response is probably what the truth is. The truth
yep.
is, you guys want a truth. It's always our job, Triple H, Nick Khan. It's always our job to give you what you want. So thank you for letting us know. I think that's the truth. I think they were letting him go, and there was a
Yep.
huge response to it. And they're like, "Oh, okay." And then they made a deal with him. I think that's what happened. I don't
Let me
think
see
it
if I
was
can find that original
intended to
tweet.
be
No, I don't
a
think so
work.
either. I think they told him, "Hey, we're not gonna renew your
Yeah,
contract. I'm sorry about that.
right.
We're sorry about that, but we just gotta make some cuts, blah, 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 blah," he is in his mid-50s. It makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Well, the first time
but,
I saw him was like 25 years ago at a Royal Rumble.
yeah, he's been around a long time, old R-Truth.
You know,
Let's go to Ron Killings's Twitter page. Let's see,
are you
Ron
going to
Killings, that's
share?
his real name. Hang on. I'm just gonna see I just wanna see the number on that tweet from back then. Let's see if we can
Okay,
find we gotta go back a little ways. Da, 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 'cause he has been talking on here ever since he came back.
sure.
My goodness.
He's in great
Uh,
shape.
oh, he is. He's phenomenal. He just doesn't age. He right around 35, he said, "I'm done. That's enough. That's enough aging." 283,000 likes,
Yeah.
22.5 million views.
Hmm.
Those are insane
It
numbers
is big.
for a pro
It
wrestler.
is big. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So even if it wasn't a work, or even if it was, they worked everybody beautifully. If it wasn't, there was no way they were just gonna let him go after that.
Yeah.
That's way
Well,
too much waves.
and even even our truth, Ron said that it wasn't a work. Even he said that. But I
Yeah.
think Cody is probably spot on with what it is. You know.
Yes. No, that's
Um,
probably what it is. And what's interesting, since he came back, they haven't been calling him R-Truth, at least not that I've seen. They're calling him Ron Killings. He's using his real name.
well,
I wonder
they're
if
trying to get away from kayfabe, right? They've been saying they want to
right,
get
I
away from
wonder
it.
if he wanted to kinda get away from the Truth character, because Truth is fun, but it's a dead end character. It's not going anywhere. And I mean, he's feuding with the freaking world champion. Like, maybe we should take it a little more seriously. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, he's still feuding with Cena. When he came back, he cost Cena the match. So, which I'm fine with. If he can give those kind of pops or whatever, let him have his moment.
yeah,
Cena's fine with it,
yeah,
clearly. It's his call, it's his last run. So if he doesn't want to work with him, I'd sure he'd be like, nah, give me somebody else. Um, so I'm fine with it. And truth, Killings, I've said this for years. The fact that he is a comedy guy and he was great at it, and everything they ever gave him, I said this last week, everything they ever gave him to do, he did it beautifully. He killed it. He's one of those guys. They would give him shit, he turned it into gold.
yeah.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter what they were giving him, and he'd find a way to make it interesting and fun
Sure.
and sometimes just hilarious. He was just really good at that. And
Yeah, but
that alone is one of the reasons why I always have said they should have tried to transition him from a comedy act to something more serious. But as he got older, it was like, all right, well, this is just what he is, and it is what it is. but maybe they're going to try here. I have a feeling his new contract is probably only a year or two at most. It's probably a
Probably.
much shorter contract, maybe even lower money, but he might have like other kickbacks on the back end
I'm
and
sure they
maybe
all
like a,
do.
guaranteed Hall of Fame spot or whatever, right? Some other form of kickback, a
Something.
Legends contract.
Well, then they all get
Um,
cuts of the merchandising, I'm sure.
well, his shirt was the number one selling shirt
Hmm.
apparently last week, last
Oh,
month,
well, there
whatever.
you go. There you go.
So what they could have easily done is be like, look, you're selling a bunch of merch. How about we pay you a lower salary, but give you a bigger cut of the merch? And he'd be like, all right, and come back for a year or two, and then we'll let you ride out, with a retirement or whatever. And
Sure.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. But I mean,
He's always been good enough to be more than he is. It's
yeah,
just
no,
that's just
he's a
what he
kind of a
was.
part of the fabric.
Yeah.
To be fair, the comedy for me, the comedy stuff was the best of that was really with Austin, him, and Kurt Angle, though.
Yes. Well, so like if you want, it's just a tweet, so I doubt we're gonna get hit for it. I'll put it in the general. Um, that's the moment that he came back, and even his demeanor is far more serious. So I have a sneaking suspicion you're not getting goofy R Truth anymore. I think you're gonna get serious, much more serious Ron Killings, which I am totally. I said it last week. He was the first ever black, and he's black as the ace of spades.
He
Ron
is
is. He's
black.
black as can
He's
be.
he's a black man.
Uh, uh, he's the first ever black NWA World Heavyweight Champion. The man can work, even in his 50s.
Sure.
He can still outwork anybody. So give him a year, give him a year or two, and let's see what he can do. Just
And
run with him.
that's
Let him be
probably what's
serious.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, he's always been a good worker, for sure. I thought they had a. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, he's still in great shape. His age is starting to show, but he's in great shape. He's
It's his
well,
mid-50s. It better start to
yeah,
show.
he's well known and beloved. Like I said, first time I remember seeing him, I think was the 2000 Royal Rumble, or
Could
something
be.
around there. And of course, he stayed in for a little bit and then got knocked out. So maybe he had
Yeah,
been around a little longer than that because he didn't get knocked out immediately, right?
correct.
But So that's 25 years ago, dude.
Yes.
And he's been around. He's been in a lot of good bits. He's a fun character, and he can work. Now
He
he
can. And
doesn't.
he
I
can
don't
do
know.
serious.
Is he a Booker
He
T
can do
though?
serious. No, 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 no. No, no. He's not as good as Booker. Booker was a shame. He should have been a much bigger star in WWE than he was, and he even ended up being world champion a couple times, I think, at least
Five
once.
time,
Uh,
five time,
well, five
five time,
WCW, yeah.
5 time,
Uh,
5 time.
but Booker was there was a lot of politicking that kept Booker from being the big of a star as he could have been for WWE.
You think?
But no, he wasn't that big. Oh, absolutely,
Oh, okay.
100%. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't. Of course, everybody it was racism. No, I don't think it was racism.
No, I don't think so.
But for whatever reason, he was. They constantly they would push him, and then stifle it, right?
Yeah, he's
And
probably
they did
doing
that a
something
lot with him.
behind the scenes. But to be honest with Booker T, I much prefer him on the mic than anything.
He is funny. He is good.
He's a good color commentator, and I think that's where he belongs.
That's what
Um,
he's doing now. He just does it on NXT. He's their color guy
that's
on
Simone
WWE's.
Biles in 2 years. Oh goodness, Alan went and did there. Well, you saw her little brouhaha with
Yeah.
Riley Gaines, right?
Well, that and then apparently she was going at J.K. Rowling too. So
Well, she's a
oh,
wokey.
oh, Simone,
She's always
Simone,
going after that dumbass
you're
shit.
silly. You're a silly girl.
Yeah.
Shh.
But I mean, who cares about who cares about that? But nevertheless, cool. That's the takeaway. Cool.
It's good. It's good because it does seem like they listened, which is good. That's what you want.
Yeah, and
Um,
and I'm not mad
Truth
at Triple
deserves more
H.
than just getting shoved out the door. He
I
just
think
does.
so. In a couple of years to let him kind of go out would be nice. And
Yeah.
I'm not mad at Triple H for trying to say it was a work. I get it. You know,
He's
I
trying
get
to
it.
keep kayfabe alive, Chester.
He's corporate. These other guys aren't. He has
Yes.
responsibilities, dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
And for what
Fiscal legal responsibilities, in
Yeah,
fact.
and for what I understand, he's actually doing a pretty fair job. We'll
He's
see
doing
in the
okay.
long run if he can maintain what McMahon had built. We'll see.
Well, the main problem they're having now is you see they're a conglomerate now, right? They're this massive entity that's over top of WWE that they have to listen to. So like this, even his release, it was said, and it's probably true, it came down from the top, from TKO, not from WWE. They didn't
Is
want to do that.
Are the Chinese involved in that at all?
No, it's Ari Emanuel, and then I think there's some Saudi money. The Rock's on their board of directors of TKO Group. Like, it's a whole bunch of different people who came.
Okay,
Vince
I just
pulled
worried about
together.
the Chinese guy. We want our prime minister said he want more Jackie Chan.
Well, because what they did, they merged with the UFC and then formed TKO, and which was brilliant. That Vince was, I think Vince was the mastermind of it. If I'm being honest with you,
Well, he's
um,
getting old and want to retire and get paid, baby.
and he did get paid. Um, but
Then he
it was a
got
brilliant
lawsuits.
move. It's much better for them to work together than against each other.
Sure, why
I
not?
mean, that makes far more sense. But
They're
yeah, regardless,
unrelated, but you're right.
so
Um,
TKO is, well, yeah, but to normal people, for some reason, normal people really conflate them. It's strange. But TKO's been, worried about budgetary stuff, which is weird because they're selling out every other show. I don't know what they're so worried about.
well,
Um,
the bigger the corporation, the more penny pinching they get, dude.
and that's what people are really worried about. They're
Yeah,
worried about from the top,
and
you're going to get a lot of trouble,
yep,
a
and
lot of BS,
this whole
and that
R Truth
Triple H
thing is
might,
a good example of it. I bet you.
yep, Triple H might eventually get pushed out. And then what happens? What does it become? Because right now, yeah, okay, Vince isn't there, but it's still his thing, right? I mean, his
Right.
son-in-law is running it for crying out loud. So it's still kind of his baby. It's
Yeah.
in his son-in-law's hands, right? It's like a grandbaby at this point. So eventually, though, that's not going to be the case. And then what? What is post wrestling, post Vince McMahon's direct influence, pro wrestling in the
Look like.
world, in the whole
Well,
world look like?
right. Because it is a worldwide thing for sure.
Yep.
They are all over the place. But one thing I've noticed, and maybe I even recall you saying this, but because I do watch wrestling time to time here, not like I used to when
Mhm.
my kid was in the house, but I do notice that they're no longer using the word entertainment.
They've largely dropped it. They still occasionally, 'cause some of the guys will use it, but it's, yeah, they're back to calling it pro wrestling, which is, that was a
Interesting.
Vince thing. He was really hung up on not calling
Well,
it wrestling. I
because he
don't
got
know why.
sued like crazy in the
It's
90s.
true, but I mean, he hated it. Like there's reports where he would get furious at the commentators if they called it wrestling. Uh,
Yeah.
very strange. It was always a Vince thing, calling it sports entertainment, which is what it is. That's not a wrong term. He's correct. It's not a, competitive sport in the same way football is,
No.
but, well, or allegedly, but pro wrestling is as American as professional baseball. In fact, pro wrestling's been around longer than professional baseball.
Sure.
It just was actually legitimate back then before they realized that they make far more money if they just rig it. And then
Yeah.
it all grew from there.
And a lot of people, since you pivoted to football, a lot of people are making those accusations here the past few years,
Yeah,
and unfortunately, pro football lends itself to corruption, though the way it's set
correct.
up, with the stop and go play and all that kind of stuff. It's also why it is the best sport because there's so much strategy applied, not just tactics. Because most sports
Yes.
just have tactics, but football has strategy as well because of the play calling and the stop and go nature of it.
Yep.
But also because of that nature, it could be potentially easily manipulated.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely happened before.
It has.
Um, there's just too many. We don't, like I said, I don't believe in coincidence. Too
No.
many coincidences
Yeah.
for sometimes for these things to be the way they
Yeah.
are.
Um,
Uh,
but
Too much
one of
money on the line too. That's billions and billions of dollars you're just leaving to chance.
That's true. But also with football, that I would expect this. It's a weird dichotomy with wrestling in this regard, um, because one of the biggest problems that football is having for the past, well, I say the 21st century, is just the ghetto mentality.
Yep.
So many athletes that millions have been invested into have blown, just absolutely crashed out with drug charges, violent. You know how many damn NFL dudes are in jail right now? I mean, like lifetime sentences,
A lot.
murder. It's just the crash outs are insane. It's all ghetto crash outs, by the way, for 90% of it, more than 90%. And you would expect to see more of that in wrestling, actually, but you don't. It's
Nope.
much worse in football.
Which is another thing I'm worried about. It's another thing I'm worried about because the main reason you didn't was there was a king. There
Yeah.
was one undisputed king in
Oh,
that
yeah.
industry. It
He
wasn't
didn't
even
fuck
close.
around.
There was there yeah, and everybody knew Vince don't fuck around. He'll fire you right now. He don't care.
Yes, true.
He'll have you arrested. He's done it. It's happened before.
He has,
Like,
and he'll get their writers on it 10 minutes after.
yep, yep. And he was just that guy, right? He
Although
wasn't gonna play around.
I think he was a little bit unfair to Bam Bam Bigelow, though.
He was. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was very that doesn't mean just because he was the king doesn't mean he was a fair king all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
was just the
I
king.
mean,
He was the
because
man.
well, that shit Bam Bam got into wasn't his fault at all. That was literally wrong place, wrong time for Bam Bam.
Yep,
And that guy would have been. He's still beloved, even though, and most
yep,
people forget how short a run it was.
yep,
Because
old Bam Bam.
Vince just got rid of him. But Bam Bam would be legend now, dude. Even though he
Yeah,
kind of is. But
he is,
there's been a few
especially the old dads.
miscalculations. Yeah, yeah. There's been a few miscalculations. But the thing with Bam Bam as well, I mean, that was a big old fat dude, but that dude would roll,
Oh,
roll.
yeah, he could fly around. He could fly
Um,
around.
and now he would.
Um,
Now I understand he was a bit stiff though, which kind of sucks.
yeah, it happens. Those bigger guys, they get moving. It's hard to
Yeah,
stop that train once it gets moving. It's funny, actually, at the Ren Fair today, one of the guys in the fights was a big old black boy. He had to be
yeah,
about 6'6", 350, 360 pounds. Big
sure.
boy.
Yeah,
Big old black dude. And he was just steamrolling people. He
yeah. That's
was
good.
just taking them out.
That's cool.
And they did a thing because they were doing like mostly just exhibition style. And they did a thing where he had a teammate and then it was like 2-on-3 or whatever. And they won anyway because he was just. And the guy was like, "What's gonna win, technique or power?" I was like, "Power. Power's gonna win."
Yeah,
And guess
yeah.
what won? Power won.
Oh yeah, no, it's fun too. That SCA or HEMA fighting is great. SCA I think is more fun because it's less realistic and more just
Yeah,
get out there and more like football, bulldog it. Where
right.
HEMA is an actual martial art. Of course, it's called HEMA stands for Historical European Martial Arts. So I mean, therefore, it is more stringent. But the SCA is just full on fun, dude. I loved it.
Yep.
I had the greatest time. But I'm a football head, so I like that kind of thing.
So just to be clear, we were talking about Elon and Trump's little tiff.
Oh yeah,
Um, and now Elon's out here retweeting JD Vance happily. He retweeted Trump posting on social happily. I'd say they kissed and made up.
I think
Everything's
he
fine.
just had a long coke weekend, dude.
I do too. I think he went on a bender, a
Yeah,
big bender, and then he woke up. He was like, "Oh shit, what did I
you
say?"
know he's a cokehead, a hardcore cokehead. You know he is.
The rumor is he's on ketamine.
Oh,
That's the
whatever,
rumor.
something to keep him
Yeah.
up. Prescription or not, because
Well, he's running
he,
like 9 multi-billion-dollar
yeah,
companies.
his
Like,
workload is insane.
yeah,
So whatever it is, it's for that purpose. But we know you can tell.
yeah.
But
He
he's
even gets
also autistic.
the twitches sometimes. He even gets the twitches sometimes.
He
Like you can
does.
see,
He does.
yeah.
He's a very awkward human, just in
Which
general.
is, in fairness, I have to give it to Trump here because he was very delicate with him.
He was.
Right? He could have went in. He's winning harder on Elon before, but I actually think Trump sees him as a surrogate child. I really do.
I do too.
I really do. And he was much more gentle than
He's
normal, and I was
fatherly.
very proud of
Yeah.
that. Very
Yeah.
proud of that, actually. He's
Well, Trump.
grown, old Trumpy. He's grown.
Well, yeah, Trump is actually quite fatherly with a lot of people.
Yes.
There was this reporter that has gotten himself fired, I think. That was, Trump was talking to him and mentioned the guy with the MS-13 on his knuckles, and the guy wouldn't admit. He was like, "Well, allegedly." Well, that it can be interpreted that way. Not that I know that guy. I don't know his
Yeah.
name, but and he would just refused, no matter how many times Trump said it. And Trump in that was like, "Look, whatever his name was, buddy. I brought you on here to give you a chance. You're kind of blowing it." He was very fatherly in that moment. He wasn't like, "Oh, you
Ah,
idiot." He
yep.
was fatherly. And he's been that more and more and more. And because he is a father, he's a grandfather. Matter
Well,
of fact, they were probably going to see very soon he's going to be a grandpa, a great grandpa,
yeah, he's got to be getting close. Got to be getting
I
there. I
think.
know. I know. Kai is the one girl, the one who's sort of famous on her, as well. She's got to be like 18 or 19 by now.
She
So
just turned
you never know.
18 and she got in trouble for a
Okay.
little video she put out because of it. But
Oh,
yeah, no, that girl needs to be careful
she
because that
does.
could be a Hunter tragedy in the work right there. I hope that her
I
family, and I
could
know
be,
they are like, whoa, 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 you need to back up with all this ghetto shit, right?
but she's pretty close to her grandpa, so
She
I'd
is.
imagine it'll take one or two conversations from him,
Yeah,
and
I'm
she'll
not
calm
saying
down.
she's there. I'm just,
Yeah.
there's concern.
She's at that
Um,
age.
she is at
This
that
is this
age where
is the
they start
chance.
getting
This is your
stupid.
time. Yep.
She's
Make your
fairly
decision. Who are you
attractive
gonna be?
girl. She's
Yeah, she's pretty.
wealthy as hell.
She's
So
American royalty, like.
yeah, so her
But no,
family
yeah, no,
needs to make sure they keep a tight rein on that girl,
it's good
for
to
her own
see.
good. Yeah,
It's good to see that, Trump and Elon can bury that hatchet, and
yeah,
because the reality of it is the world's a better place when we have the
I
richest
heard that,
man, at
Alan.
least on paper,
Yeah,
in the world and the most powerful man on planet Earth going in the same direction. We
yeah,
don't need the conflict there was stupid to
it
begin with.
was,
And
it
second
was.
of all, it doesn't help anybody at all. It doesn't help Elon at all to be in contention with Trump. It
No,
doesn't. It
no.
doesn't help Trump at all for
Especially
Elon to
seeing
be in
as he
contention with
he
him.
he hung himself out the way he did working with
Yes.
Doge. But yeah, I've heard a lot of people say it was kayfabe as well, Alan, in regards to Trump and Elon. I don't think so. I think he had a bender, and
Yeah.
he just got he got childish as he is known to do,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
Because he is, Elon is what he is, and you got to keep in
He is.
mind he is a liberal. Elon is a liberal. He's not a conservative in any way. The reason he leaned into it was because of what they did to his kid. And you see
Right.
that a lot. Anna Kasparian. Why does she shift and is pulling Cenk with her? Because she was mugged and no one gave a shit. Poor white
Yep.
girl, right? Just like Bill Maher. Why is he shifted? Because he has. Because he's been robbed. His house has been robbed multiple times. That's why they're shifting because bad shit is happening to them, and it's the liberals' fault, and they know it, and they're
That's right.
pissed, and that's why they're pushing back. That's what's happening, and
Well, it's what you started to say, Chester. The problems that exist, the real problems, right? It's just like with Karl Marx. The things he points out about capitalism are true. He's not wrong. It's just the solutions aren't solutions.
they're
They're
not.
nonsense.
No,
They're nonsense.
they're
So that's what
childish,
they do with,
knee-jerk
yeah,
reaction is what it is.
that's what they do with everything. And that's what Anna Kasparian pointed out. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? This isn't solving anything. Why do we keep
Right?
just throwing money at these corrupt sons of bitches? It
Sure.
solves nothing.
Well,
And
yeah, and she must
she's
have been
not wrong.
terrified. Think about it.
Oh, I'm
I
sure.
mean, she was just mugged. Luckily,
She's
she
not
wasn't
big.
raped
She's
because she is.
tiny.
Yeah, that's right, and she is a pretty girl.
Yeah.
And imagine how terrifying that was for her.
Yeah. Oh, I
Um,
know. I
and
know. I
you
mean,
know,
it's even worse for her because she's a small woman. I've been mugged. It's not fun. It's not fun.
oh well,
Uh,
my mugging wouldn't work
imagine
out well.
imagine if you're imagine if you're a female. Well, the guy had a gun, so
Well, it doesn't
I didn't
matter.
want
I
to
might
out.
be dying on the ground, but it wouldn't work
Um,
out. I'm stubborn. You don't
uh,
really understand.
but he didn't get my money. He just tried to. I just walked away from him. I was like, "You're not gonna shoot me in broad daylight. Get the fuck out of here." That's why I said I walked away. And he didn't. I'm still here, so I
Yeah,
was right. Um, but regardless, yeah, it's fucking terrifying. Of course it is, and it's especially if you're a woman, a good-looking woman, a small woman, and is not a big girl. Uh, It's going to be extremely terrifying
Yeah,
in that situation,
yeah.
especially since it's just some degenerate homeless freak. You don't know. You don't care. What's he got to
Yeah,
lose?
hers was a street issue. It was on the street.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you're seeing a lot of these liberals shift, and it's not because they're just seeing the wind is blowing like say a Newsom, right?
Yes.
No, it's because things have happened to them, right? Now, what
Yep.
is pulling Jank away? I think it's Anna,
Probably.
because I think he actually respects her. To be fair, but Jank has shifted. He literally spoke the words, "Trump did a good job." Cenk Uygur said that.
Yep.
Now that's
Yep.
insanity. Now that doesn't change the fact that he's still a Muslim communist.
Correct. Which you
However,
repeat yourself, but yes.
yes, but but anyway, let's move on here. But it's good to see. Welcome back, R Truth. This I don't know
Our boy
whether I should laugh or cry.
James Gunn warned us. Or wait, hang on. Let me try that again. James Gunn warned us. Jared Leto hit with sexual misconduct allegations. Duh.
Yeah,
How is this? Who's surprised?
nobody. But of course, how legitimate I'll get into that in a second. But let's go back to the beginning. Read that again, but just kind of the first two words, please.
James Gunn. Yes.
Why is James Gunn telling us about anything regarding degeneracy?
I don't know. He is an expert on it. I'll give him
I
that.
suppose so. But it's just ridiculous. James Gunn is chiming in on this. But now Jared Leto, he is being accused by a few ladies. And if you read the accusations, they're coming. They said they were 16 and 17, which you guys know. I don't consider that to be underage, me personally. But I know in American law, and it is the law, and so therefore, end of conversation.
Yep.
However, the world standard is 16. That the entire world is basically 16. It's America and a couple other places that jacked it up to 18. And the only reason they did that was because of feminism, right? That's the only reason. But whatever, that aside, you're not looking at little girls here. You're looking at young women. And you have one accusing him of, being inappropriate when she's waiting for him to show up and she comes walking out naked. Now,
Right.
how is that his fault? Now, and I don't want to defend Leto because we know he's a bit of a creep. He's a cult leader,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
fucking anything that moves. But how is that his fault? And a lot of the accusations are very similar to this. He's not actually being accused of attacking people. It's just this modern, movement of Me Too crap. It doesn't.
Right.
It's not real, right? Now, he says he didn't do nothing wrong, and who knows? But and of course, just to give you an idea, here is this is an actual picture, by the way. It's an older picture. This is him at his little retreats, his little cult retreats. Do you know anything interesting? Notice anything interesting about this picture?
It's all women
All women, and him dressed as what?
as the Jeebus.
The Jeebus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, this is who this dude is, and he's in amazing physical condition. He's talented in many ways. Musically, he's a fair actor, and he's very charismatic. And he has these retreats all the time, and it's basically nothing but women. And if you think he ain't diving in the middle of that, I mean, come on,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
So, and if there's an occasional 17-year-old here or there, do you really care?
And all those women go there knowing exactly what
Oh,
they
yeah.
want.
That's my point.
It's
They're
this
not there
weird
against
fucking
their
thing
will.
we have to do, Chester. It's all these lies we do where we have to pretend like women don't want to get fucked. They
Yeah, it's
do.
weird.
Spoiler,
They
guys.
like
They
it.
do.
They do
They
enjoy
enjoy.
it. They
Maybe
enjoy
you're
it.
all just terrible at it, but I happen to be okay.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
seem to enjoy it.
they do. Now, to be
Seem to
fair,
enjoy it.
women don't have the libido men have generally. That to
Not
be
usually.
fair,
Some of them
well,
do.
if you give
Some of
a
them do.
woman a good rogering, she's good for a few weeks, dude.
Yeah. Well,
She is.
some most of them are. I've
Well,
known
the
exceptions.
nymphomania is a mental disease. It is what it is. But I'm
Yeah.
saying the general woman, if you actually, do your job properly,
Yeah.
she got to be good for a while. Now, if you're not doing your job and she's not being satisfied, well, that shit's on you, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
Especially in the modern era.
yeah,
Like,
well, in any era.
okay.
I mean, this nonsense with men bitching and whining about silly ass shit. If you ain't fucking her right, dude, that's on you.
Yeah.
100%.
Get in better shape, Sally. Go for a walk. Go walk for
Or
about 2
just,
hours a day. Just
yeah, or just
go for some
try.
walks. Go for some walks. Get your cardiovascular system healthier. Get your core healthier. You'll be all right.
Especially for older
All
dude.
right.
As you get older, your blood movement becomes harder, and therefore hardness it becomes difficult.
That's right.
Right? This is just a reality of getting older. So if you want it to work all the time, you need to get have your blood moving and a little bit of daily exercise. It's like magic. You
There
don't
is
even
just
need a little blue pill, dude.
true. For most men, you do not. You
No,
can fix it with that. You can fix it with a little bit of mental work, like meditation and stuff, de-stressing. A lot of it's stress
stop
related.
watching the
Men
damn
have
porn.
stop watching porn. Keep your hand off your dick.
Yeah,
But also walking. I just saw this thing. There is, this is a literal statement from these researchers. There is nothing on Earth that a human being can do on a regular basis as beneficial for you as a long walk. Nothing. It's not even close.
yep.
It's not even
Just
close.
it's
It not only is it good for you mentally, it's good for every single system in your body.
yeah
Every single one.
gets the gears greased, baby.
Lowers inflammation,
Yep,
which is the big thing. Inflammation is actually the killer. It reduces your chance of cancer astronomically if you go on daily walks. Astronomically, it reduces it.
yeah,
Every single disease that just kind of happens to people that we don't really, they all go drastically down if you just walk. If you just walk for an hour a day,
yeah. And
a
but
dedicated walk, just go
back
for a walk.
back to Leto here. This guy, has he done something actually inappropriate? Maybe, but I don't. He doesn't need to. Look at the
No.
pussy that's throwing itself at him.
Yes.
Look at it. He doesn't
Endless
have to
supply. The
do
one in the back
untoward shit.
there
He
isn't
doesn't
bad
need to
either.
do that. What?
Little cutie pie back there. The one back there is a little bit of might be a cutie pie. It's hard to tell, but she might be all right. The others, there's a couple in there. I'd be like, I'll be all right. I'll
Yeah, but
pass. Thank
he's
you.
not sleeping with every single one of them, dude. He's not.
No, no, no. Of
And I'm
course.
sure there's other. We don't see him here, but I'm sure there are hanger-on dudes around him, right?
Oh, of
But I'm just
course there
saying,
are. If
this
they're smart, there
dude,
are.
yeah, that's a nice a non-mortar stone wall right there, by the way. Uh, but um,
Yes.
uh, but I'm just saying, this guy doesn't need to do any of that shit. I'm not saying he hadn't done anything. I'm just saying there's no need for it. And this right here looks like it's somewhere in the Mediterranean. If you look at the flora here, I would say this is the Mediterranean. Therefore, if it is, then he ain't breaking no laws
It's
at
Greece.
all.
I'm pretty sure is where his thing is.
Yeah, it
It's
looks like
Greece.
the
I'm pretty
Mediterranean
sure.
to me.
Yeah.
Greece makes sense. But therefore, I think in Greece it's even like 14 or something.
Yeah, it's something
But
like that.
the world it's 16. So therefore you can say this or that, but if it's not in the states, how is it illegal? And it comes down to that Epstein thing as well, right? Because still to this day, the only accusations I've seen were like 16, 17-year-olds on Epstein, and that was in the Caribbean, not in America. And in the Caribbean, the age of consent is not 18, dude. So
Yes.
now some people have suggested that maybe possibly there were little ones, and if there were, then fuck that guy,
Yeah.
right? Um,
I still think that Trump had him killed. Truly.
you think
Trump
Trump
ordered
did,
that
not
hit.
Hillary?
Yeah. Well, Trump was the president at the time. Um, I absolutely, yeah, 100%. And it wasn't to protect himself. It was probably to protect certain interests,
Yeah,
like,
Israeli interest,
Israel.
yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever. We don't need to diagnose that. But my point is this guy a sexual predator? Who knows? I think he's just obsessed with sex and he has easy access to it. But with all that said, I don't need to have an opinion from fucking James Gunn. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Accurate.
enough of that. All right, let's move on
Enough
to
of it.
happiness.
Oh boy. Skydance exploring the end of Star Trek. No talks with Kurtzman rumored.
Now,
Star Trek doesn't need to end. It needs to return.
well, now this is happy news though. It is happy news
Because this
because
this bullshit here isn't Star Trek. None of it is.
no, it's not. It's woke bullshit. And
Yes.
now, of course, they in this article from Will Harrington is saying that Kurtzman's bad robot. It's J.J. Abrams' bad robot. Kurtzman works for J.J. Abrams, but
Mhm.
basically, it looks like they're no longer doing business with Kurtzman. Hallelujah, hallelujah, because the Kurtzman is. People blame JJ for his weird little take, and ultimately he is the boss, right? But this whole nonsense with this Michael Burnham and all this, those just absolute crap we've seen. This is Kurtzman's doing. He's the one who was given the reins on it, and he's the one that did this, and he's defended it, his wokeness, the whole way along, including his entire team. They're not wrong. You are.
Yep.
Finally, it looks like they're done. They're done. Now, of course, that's going to mean we're not going to
Hopefully.
see Star Trek for maybe 5 years, 5 to 10 years. I'm
That's
okay
fine.
with it.
Reset it. Reset
Yep.
the clock. You know who needs to make Star Trek? The people who made that Kirk you saw that
Oh,
Kirk
that was
film, right? I
beautiful.
can't remember
Yeah.
what it's called. It's so good. Just let them do it.
Yeah.
I don't care. Give them money. Give them a budget. Let them do it. They understand. They get it on a spiritual level why Star Trek is awesome. Just do that. And for God's sakes, can we advance the storyline, please?
Yeah. Can we do
As far as
something
I
that isn't
know, they
stupid?
stopped after Picard, and that's just where it's just stopped now. They
Yeah,
they
but
haven't
Picard is
advanced.
nonsense anyway. I don't want any part
No,
of
no, I'm
it.
not talking about the show Picard. I'm talking about that era. That era
That
of
era,
Star
yeah.
Trek.
Well,
We haven't gone any
we
further, at
haven't,
least not in the official.
and we've had so many little storyline hints that show of very interesting things we can do, like the
Yep,
time wars and all that kind of stuff. However,
yep.
however, the article showing that Kurtzman is out is good. End of conversation. Therefore, my conversation for you in the chat is this: I
Uh-oh.
want you to list your favorite captains, not counting this bullshit. We're not looking at the JJ verse, right? We're looking at actual Star Trek. What is your captain list? Now, for me, it goes Archer, Kirk. Um, um, who was the Deep Space Nine captain?
Cisco.
Cisco. Yeah, so it definitely goes Archer, Kirk, Cisco. Um, I guess Picard and Janeway.
Interesting. That's an
That's my
interesting
choice. And the
lineup.
reason why Picard and Janeway are so low is because it depends on your personality, I guess. Because
Mhm,
Janeway and Picard are much more of the admiral type leader, which more
mhm.
realistic. But
Imperious.
they're very imperious.
Yep.
They're very smug. I just don't like it. I much have preferred the adventuring ones, which is why Archer and Kirk are at my top, and
Mm.
Cisco is just cool. And of course, Deep Space Nine is probably the best written of all of it.
Cisco is awesome.
He is
He's
cool, but he's not
one
really
of the best
captain.
written characters in television history, Cisco. He's
Yeah,
phenomenal.
he is cool. But I
He's a
love.
captain by the end. He gets
Yeah,
promoted
but you know what I mean.
eventually.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
But that's my take. Archer's my favorite, and then Kirk being second. But what do you guys think? Let's see. Roger says Kirk, then
Ooh,
Picard, then Janeway. Okay. So you like more of the kind of true to life captain of a ship type of stuff, which is
that's tough.
Picard and Janeway are.
That's tough for me because Kirk and Picard are so different.
Mm,
Um,
they are.
and I grew up see because I was the perfect age. Well, actually, I was a little. It was a little bit before my time, but I grew up on both the movies, right, the OG movies, and the Next Generation because they all kind of happened, within that decade, and then the Next Generation carried forward, and obviously all the next gen movies. Um, So for me, it's between Kirk and Picard for 1 and 2.
Okay.
Are we consider okay, so obviously it's the same character. Okay, OG series Kirk wouldn't even make my top 5, but the movie Kirk
Oh
is
yeah,
far better.
he is.
I'm gonna go movie Kirk number 1, then Picard,
Hmm.
um, and then Cisco, and then the other 2 I don't know enough about. I didn't watch enough Voyager to care, and I didn't watch really any of
Oh,
Enterprise
okay.
because I couldn't. The tone of it was wrong. I tried to, I wanted to, and then I heard that fucking song. I said, "Nope,
Yeah,
it's
no,
done."
it's unfortunate. I
I turned it
watched
off.
all of them complete to completion. But
And it's a shame 'cause I love Scott Bakula. Scott Bakula is
he's
awesome.
great. He's
But
my favorite captain, dude. He's my favorite. I know you don't like the
I
song,
I
but he's my favorite
probably
captain.
if I could probably get something that takes the opening credits out, I could probably stand it, but that fucking song pisses me off
Yeah,
because it's stuff like that where people say it's not a big deal, but how you do anything is how you do everything. And when you get something like that,
it's been a
that wrong,
long road.
when you get something like that wrong, you're just not setting the tone right. And I would say it's stuff like that that was and it was even stuff before that, but that was one example where Star Trek started to unravel
Yeah.
because the people who were in charge of it now just simply didn't know what they really had,
Hmm.
and it
Well,
showed. And
um,
even if Archer ended up being great and the show was fine otherwise, it's the little things adding up over time that led us to this bullshit we're looking at right here.
right. But when we look at the five captains of the original run series,
Yeah,
um, before we get into this stupid world, when we look at that, they're actually kind of each one of them are perfect for where they sit. Actually.
yeah,
Archer, of course, is the first one, and Kirk coming after. And those guys, the Federation, of course, and the Earth Alliance is in its frontier stages. The humans don't know. They're still learning. They're exploring. And those guys have the explorer type captain, character, as they should.
right.
By the time
Cowboy
much,
diplomacy,
yeah, yeah.
as they call it. Cowboy
And
diplomacy.
cowboy diplomacy. And as by the time we get to the next generation with Picard, they are very well established. They know exactly where
Yeah,
they are, where they're going. They have power and authority. So you would have more of an admiral esque leader on the bridge. He doesn't go
right,
down on away missions. He's a captain, you know?
right.
Um, it makes perfect sense. And of course, Janeway's the same era. So it
Yes,
makes sense because she and Picard are identical. They're just genders are different. They're the same thing.
right.
And
Well,
Cisco,
and Patrick Stewart's a far better actor, but yes.
well, yeah, but I mean, in general, they're the same character, though, is what my point is. Then, of
Yeah,
course, Cisco is a very different situation. He's basically the in-between guy trying to keep two forces from obliterating each other.
right.
It's a wartime
He's a sheriff.
diplomatic. He's a sheriff. Yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah,
a
right.
sheriff in an old western. You got the two factions fighting, and he's trying to keep the peace on the town,
Yeah.
basically, or the
So it's
marshal, right?
extremely
That's what he
different.
is.
There's no
Yeah,
ship. There's a space station. It's
I
just very
do like
different.
the Defiant though. Even though
It is
I
cool.
like it.
Yeah, but it's not as small as you think it is. It's
No,
actually
it's
is
pretty. I
pretty
mean, it's
big.
still a big ship, but yeah,
Yeah.
but compared to one of the bigger ones, it's small.
It would fill a
Um,
football field.
yeah, yeah. I no, I really like Deep Space Nine. I still, for me, uh, Next Generation is still my favorite. But as I've gotten older, I can admit that Deep Space Nine was better written because it was.
It
It
is,
just
yeah,
simply
it
was.
is the best
Yeah,
written one, yeah. And of course, I grew up with all of it. I saw the original series in syndication, to be fair. But
most
I
people
did
did.
see it all. It was on TV as I was a kid, and I loved the original crew. I watched the Next Generation, and I liked a lot of things about it. There were certain things that I really hated about Next Generation, though. But
Mhm.
really, two characters. Riker
Ooh.
and whatever that Troy lady is.
You hated Riker?
I hated Riker with a passion. I hate that guy.
Jonathan Frakes?
I
Wait
hate
a
that
minute.
guy. I hate that guy. And I didn't like that Troy character. She was so stupid.
Yeah, she's
Someone's
the worst
yelling and
part.
screaming, and she's like, I feel that you are angry. Fuck off.
She's the worst part of that show.
She
She's
is.
worse than Wesley
Uh,
for me,
Now,
personally.
and a lot of people think do bust on Wesley, and of course, That actor today is
Will Wheaton.
absolutely insufferable.
Yeah, he's a
He is,
fig leaf.
but for what he was supposed to be, it worked though.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
understood
I
the
have
character.
no problem with it. And his mom, Beverly, I like Beverly. I
Ooh,
thought she was a pretty good doctor.
talk
If I
about an
was,
attractive redhead. Woo.
if I were to list doctors, she's probably number two for me.
Oh yeah, because nobody touches McCoy, right?
No one touches McCoy, but I would say
It's not even
her.
close.
Then maybe I don't know. Is it Bashir or Phlox or the hologram
Julian's
there?
pretty good. Julian's pretty good.
He is
Um,
interesting, but it's probably Phlox for me is number three, two or three. Then Julian. I don't know. Picardo playing what was the name of that character? The
it is
hologram guy.
funny that his name's Picardo, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
He's not Star
Um,
Trek.
but what was the name of his holographic doctor? They gave him a name.
Mhm.
Damn it! Someone in the chat help me
I
out.
can't remember. I can't
Where's
remember. I didn't
Maple
watch a
Chic?
lot of Voyager. I didn't watch a lot of Voyager just because everything you just said about Janeway, she just reminded me too much of Picard, and I was just like, "Eh." And then they really cheapened the Borg in Voyager. That pissed me off.
Well, they were trying to tone him down and develop him so that they could deal with it. Yeah, that's right. But as far as doctors go, that one's much easier. I don't think anyone's not going to say McCoy.
No, I mean, unless there's some sort of heathenish creature. Yeah, no
Yeah.
normal functioning human being with a functioning cerebellum would say anybody but Mr. McCoy, but Dr. McCoy rather.
No, it was just
Old
the doctor.
bones.
That's it. Okay, thank you, Roger. Maybe
Um,
that's why I couldn't remember it.
Here's a question for you,
Yeah.
Chester. Of the OG 6 films, which one's your favorite? And you can't but you can't just say Wrath of Khan. Pick that so 5,
No,
the 5
that's
of them.
not the answer anyway.
Uh-oh, what's the answer?
The motion picture.
The first one?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
That's an interesting
Yep.
choice.
Yep. It's the best
It
film
is
they
the
ever
most
made.
distinct. It is the most distinct of all the Star Trek movies because
It's genius.
it's very interesting.
Yeah. It's the most
They
sci-fi that we've
they try
gotten.
to take it the most serious in that one,
Yep.
like, it had a much more serious
Yep.
tone.
It's extremely sci-fi, and this is one of the things that Star Trek can get off track with. Is they
Mm,
often want to turn it into Star Wars, and I get the impulse.
high
I do.
fantasy, yeah.
But let's keep it straight. Star Trek is supposed to be pure sci-fi. It's supposed to be.
Yeah,
And
it's
if you're looking at pure sci-fi, they've never done anything more sci-fi than the motion picture.
true.
Yeah,
You're not wrong. You're
yeah,
definitely not wrong. That first movie is it's something because in my opinion, good sci-fi is a little bit esoteric, right? It's a
yep,
little bit like,
yep.
"What am I
Spiritual.
watching here?"
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what the first one definitely is.
yeah.
Uh, so
The
yeah,
Ghost
no,
in the
I mean,
Machine, baby.
for me, Wrath of Khan is the best Star Trek movie ever made. So I'm gonna take that off of the list of the first
Well, it's
6.
Ricardo Montalban, dude. What do you want? That's
He's only in the
cheating.
movie for barely any amount of
Yeah,
time
but
too, and he
he's
just dominates
he
it.
devours that
Eats it.
movie, dude.
Yes, he does. And honestly, Shatner does a good job too.
Oh, yeah,
His Khan
they all
scream
do.
is pretty good. Uh, and then him and Spock at the end. Whew, whew,
It's
that
coming,
make a grown
Khan.
man cry.
Get ready.
Make a grown man cry.
Yeah.
But anyway, um, of those 6, I have a real soft spot for 6 actually. Undiscovered Country. Mainly because I went and watched it in the movie theaters with my mother. So that's why. But that's tough without Khan in there.
To be fair, I wasn't a huge fan of any of the Next Generation movies, really.
Well, I'll get to those in a second. I'm gonna probably go with 1 too. If I take Khan out,
Yeah,
1 is probably my favorite. Yeah.
it is the best choice.
It's just really well put together, and it's so unique from everything, which is why a lot of people didn't like it because it didn't feel like the show. Whereas the other movies have more of that vibe. But I think it's probably 1
Yeah.
without the Wrath of Khan. The Wrath of
Well,
Khan is one of the best of that type of film ever made. It's phenomenal. It really is
no,
from beginning
it
to
is
end. It
great.
holds
Little
up
adventure
beautifully.
movie.
It's so good.
But one thing the
And
motion
Khan's
picture.
right. Khan's not wrong. Like that's what makes it great. He's a villain with a point. He's
Yeah,
completely
no, that's
correct in that
true.
film.
But one of the really great, there's many great points about the motion picture. But if you're just a fan of the of starships, which I know some
Yeah.
people are, they display the Enterprise better in that than any other movie.
Yeah.
Showing what engineer looks like, they developed it really well. Now, to be fair, to give JJ some points, um, I think they almost overdeveloped the ship layout, the engineering layout, and stuff like that.
Yep.
But it was pretty good. But I think the motion picture showed the interior of the ship in the best way.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
So,
I think you're right.
yeah,
Yeah, I have to
uh,
watch it again. I haven't watched it in probably 20 years.
it's been a
Getting
while.
close.
Yeah, it's been a while. I
I
should
used
watch
to
it
have
again
all
too.
of them on VHS. Yes, sir, but I have no idea what happened to those. I think they got destroyed.
Yeah. Then, of course, you have the Search for Spock. You have the Lost Country, or what was it called?
Um, the fourth one. Oh, come on. Star Trek 4.
It's like
I'm
Lost
not in my
Country or something.
I'm not in my my I'm in my kitchen.
That one's
Um,
okay. Um, yeah. Then you got the crossover one, of course. And then
well,
you
then you have
have
5. You have 5, which is the one which is where they meet God. That one has one of the best scenes in all of Star Trek in it, but it's surrounded by a bunch of nonsense with Spock's brother and everything. But
sure,
the scene where 'cause Sobek has this thing where he can take away your pain. He basically is taking away your childhood trauma and making you not. He's brainwashing you, is what he's doing. And Kirk calls it out. And Kirk, it forms my foundational one of my foundational moral things is from that movie. Is I don't want my pain taken away. I need my pain. My
yeah.
pain is
No,
who
that was a
makes
good
me who I
scene.
am.
It was.
Um,
That
that's so
movie,
good.
it was so good. And of course, that movie also has the best Uhura silhouette ever.
Yes, she actually looks pretty good.
She's
She does
smoking,
look pretty
dude.
good. She
She's
was
always a
pretty
pretty
good.
lady. But and then of course you have the next generation stuff, which I'm just not a big fan of it. But like I
Okay,
said,
so next gen movies. See, this is when I was, this is when I was a young man still, but a little bit more cognizant than when the other ones came out. Generations exists. It's fine. I know what they were trying to do. I just don't think they landed the plane. And that's a shame. Um, First Contact is genuinely good. I like First Contact a lot. Uh, that is one with one of the other really, really great scenes. Some of the best acting in Patrick Stewart's entire career when he draws the line in the sand. And it's just beautiful acting, and he smashes
oh,
his little ships. And she, oh, you broke your little ships. That scene's great. Whether or not the climax of that movie's any good, and then the Borg Queen thing is kind of stupid, but the rest of it, that part is really, really good. I really like mostly just Patrick Stewart's acting. I think he does a phenomenal, as he usually does a phenomenal job in that film.
the Final Frontier,
Insurrection is
Undiscovered Country. Okay,
Insurrection. That's 6. That's Star Trek 6, The
yeah,
Undiscovered Country. Insurrection exists. It could have just been an episode. Like it's not. It exists, and then you have Nemesis. Oh boy. So
yeah,
remember what I was saying, Chester, about the writing on the wall when we talk about the Enterprise series and how it had stupid music.
yeah,
They had some other stupid things in the first couple bits of it too, just the way things were lighted and stuff. It was just wrong. It had a wrong feel to it.
yeah.
That really started in Insurrection and really became a problem in Nemesis because Nemesis was way wrong. There was very
It
little
was a
about that
mess.
was right. Yeah, it's
It
a
was a
mess.
mess. Yeah,
And then it was just that kind of stuff that led to us getting to places where J.J. Abrams had to come save it because
right.
these idiots, I'm using big air quotes, come
Yeah,
save it because these idiots had bastardized it so badly. And also, the truth of the matter is, some things aren't going to last forever, right? Star Trek had its zenith, and that was
yeah,
the
it
late
did.
'80s through the
Well,
through the through the '90s.
to be fair, the Nemesis, if it were J.J. Abrams' Romulan take in Star Trek, if it was done like that, it would have been way better.
Mm.
Because that
Hmm.
was one of the things. The villain was not villainous enough.
Right. Well, what Nemesis should have been about was lore. That's what it should have been about. Data's brother. That's what it
Could have
should have
been.
been about from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because they do this whole thing where they discover another Data. Like, what? Why would you do that? There's
Yeah.
already another Data, and he's a problem, and he's always been a problem.
Yeah.
So why would you? It's just stupid. It's stupid. If that movie had been about Lore manipulating that other guy the whole time, it would have been a much more satisfying
Sure.
film because at least
Sure.
it would have made sense with everything that had been going on in the world, in the universe. And then you could have actually had a proper conclusion to that. And then with Data, spoiler for this 20-year-old movie, killing himself at the end, it would have had so much more to it because it would have made sense. He's doing it to take out his brother. Like, that's so much heavier than it would have been he just decides to kill himself because
Yeah.
I don't know, this will
It's
work.
weird.
What?
It
It
is
was so
weird.
weird.
And of course, the Into Darkness is just a very weird ripoff of the Wrath of Khan,
Yeah.
without having Khan proper.
Yes.
It's just dumb. And of
Yes.
course, Star Trek Beyond. It's like a fun original series episode. Is really what it
Yeah.
is.
Well,
Um,
here's the problem with Into Darkness. The main problem is you don't have Ricardo. He's not there. He's gone, unfortunately. No one can fill those shoes and play Khan like him in The
no,
Wrath of Khan. No one has touched it. No villain has touched it in
no,
Star Trek. No one has even come close. Not even Stewart has ever come close to that performance as Khan in The Wrath of Khan.
no. Montalban was
And
amazing. Yeah,
it was unbelievable. So you're giving somebody an impossible task for no reason other than nostalgia berries,
yeah.
member berries.
It's really
It was
weird.
stupid.
Yeah, it was really weird. But as far as the other ones, I don't give a shit about Section 31. That can go to hell.
Yeah.
First Contact. What was the premise of that again?
First Contact is the Borg are attacking
Yeah, the
Earth,
Borg.
and they're getting stopped. Actually, We're Federation's winning, and the Borg open basically like a time portal.
Right.
They time
That's
travel
right.
back to
That's right.
before the Federation existed, take over Earth then, and then
And
but
he's got that
because the
little black
Enterprise is
lady in
caught
it.
in the
Yeah.
wake, yeah, the Enterprise is caught in the wake of this. They can see it happen in real time, and they're able to jump through and then basically try and stop them before they
Right.
are able to do that. And it's sci-fi timey-wimey stuff,
It
but
is.
it's nice. You get to see the first contact, hence the name between the Vulcans and the humans. You get to meet Zephram Cochrane, this legendary figure that everybody had heard of
Yeah,
by then.
that movie was kind of fun.
Yeah,
And
that movie's fun. And then Patrick Stewart really does bring it. He brings it. He brings it in that movie
yeah,
as
but
Picard. It's
it's got
about
that
him.
damn Riker character though.
Well, yeah, but he's just focusing on the Earth stuff. It's more of a side thing. It's
Sure.
really about him finally dealing with his trauma, if you want to use that word, with the Borg, right? Of everything that happened with the Borg,
Sure.
because I mean,
Locutus.
one thing they do very well in the Next Generation is when they did that, they did not drop it. That stays a recurring thing for Picard the rest of everything, right?
Yeah, no,
And
he's
yeah,
tainted. Yeah, that's
yeah,
absolutely
it,
true.
it
And
really is.
Insurrection, what was that one again?
Insurrection, there's this like nebula. And in this nebula is this planet. And on this planet, if I remember correctly, people don't get sick or die
No,
or
that's
age or
Nemesis.
anything. No, that's insurrection.
So what
And
is
then,
Nemesis then?
well, hang on. And then in insurrection, the Federation has ordered basically for this planet to be taken over
Yeah, the
and the
Briar
people kicked
Patch.
off
Yeah.
of it. Yeah, the Briar Patch. And then Nemesis is it's implied, I think. I can't remember if it's implied or outright said that Picard has like a clone that's a Romulan or a Reman. He's a Reman because there's the Romulans and the Remans, right? There's Romulans that live on Romulus, and then the people who lived on, I believe, one of the moons of Romulus, named Remus. They mutated and look totally different, heavily. And then basically he's trying to get at Picard because I'm pretty sure he's Picard's clone is the idea. It's just it's just bad. It's just bad. Like it would have made so much more sense even with the name Nemesis if the problem was lore. If they weren't afraid to use the Borg, so why would they be afraid to use lore? He was a great
Yeah.
character. It
No.
allowed Brett Spiner to actually, get out there and stretch a little bit. One of the best actors Star Trek's ever had, Brent Spiner, as Data. But when he got to play Lore, he got to be, a little bit more
Yeah.
evil. Well, evil
I
in
remember
general.
this movie now. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't very good at all.
No, it's a bad movie. It's not
Yeah,
a
it
good film.
wasn't very good. All right, so that's that. Has the chat put in their information about what their favorite are? No, not much. Thundercats Roar, Section 31. Thank you, Alan. But yeah, but yeah, no. I know it's not the standard answer for me, but I prefer Archer's my favorite.
Archer.
I love
I'm
that.
gonna have to go back and try and suffer through that fucking song
Just
and then
skip
watch
it,
it.
dude.
I'm gonna
Because
have to.
it's a really good show, and it fits into what it's supposed to be correctly. It
Yeah.
is truly a frontier, series. They are new, they don't know anybody, and they're learning and meeting people, and they play that off really well. And they're not this dominant badass thing. They get their ass kicked constantly, as they're
Yeah.
constantly upgrading. And in 3 seasons, the NXT goes from the base thing it is into a much better ship by the end of it. The ship has a story arc, which
Nice.
is cool, right?
Right.
It's really well done. Um, and there's the Zindi War thing in there, which has some action if you like that. It's got sci-fi stuff. Archer, and that what's that guy's name? The Quantum
Scott
Leap guy,
Bakula.
Scott Bakula. He is
Oh, great guy.
perfect for that
No, yeah,
setting.
he is. He was fine. I never had any problem with him. I always thought he'd make a great, even when he was just in Quantum Leap. I always
Mhm.
thought he would make a great
Yeah,
captain.
but the writing in it is cool in many ways. Like for instance, by the time you get, which is what 100 years plus later, right? When you get Kirk
Right.
and his people, when you get the Vulcans at that period under the original series, they have transitioned completely into their religion of logic, right?
Right.
But in Enterprise, they're still in a transition. There's many Vulcans who don't agree. They think that there's different ways to control their emotional rage than just eliminating it, right?
Right.
As you remember with Spock, when they go to pick him up for the motion picture, he's going to the Mukhtar, right, to try to
Mhm.
eliminate all emotion, right? But the Vulcans at the time of Enterprise haven't got there yet. So they're more nuanced than you're used to them being in a cool way. So we're developing the lore of the cosmology here.
Right.
T'Pol is a good example because she is a Vulcan that's following this logical pathway, but she has conflictions, and in the end, of course, she ends up with Trip, and they have kids. But Spock's parents aren't the first ones to do that, right? Because
Right.
keep in mind, Spock's father took a human wife, right? But he did it more politically, where T'Pol and Trip do it for love, right? But that's a great little nuanced side aspect of the story. The
Mhm.
development of the warp engine is a great storyline throughout the series. Archer going from Maverick pushing against the Vulcans, and the Vulcans don't want to let the humans do anything because that's a little by little type of mentality, and him being a maverick against that. By the end of it, he becomes a very capable diplomat, and he's one of the
Mhm.
main reasons the Federation's even put together. All of this
Mhm.
lore is being built and laid out incredibly. And
Mhm.
then, of course, along the way, you get the Andorians, which we haven't explored them at all, right?
Right.
And of course, we see them here or there, but we've never explored them. And then, of course, um, we get the amazing. Why do I always forget his name? Reanimator guy. He's one of my favorite actors too. I'm such an idiot. Uh, oh goodness gracious. Jeffrey Combs. Okay, Jeffrey Combs.
Mm.
Jeffrey Combs plays the lead Andorian, and he's freaking phenomenal, dude. He eats the goddamn scenery,
Yeah.
right? as he's is to do. Jeffrey Combs, he's amazing. But yeah, it's just there's so many great things going on in Enterprise, dude. As far as
Right.
just the development of lore and expanding the cosmology they do, it's wonderful. So that's my take.
Um,
And
yeah,
Phlox is one of
no,
the best doctors ever. He's probably number 2 for me, although Crusher, she is good too, though.
it's interesting how important that role is in these
Mhm.
shows, the doctor role,
Isn't it?
because it
Yeah.
obviously would be,
Well, think
very
of
important on that
Firefly's
ship.
doctor. He was very
Yep,
important, pivotal character, wasn't he?
yep, yep. No, it's Star Trek is so special. It comes from a time
It is.
where we still wanted to believe in a positive future, and we did. And that was, one of the interpretations of what that might look like. Uh, and at the end of the day, the reason why these new shows, this bullshit here,
Yeah.
and that are
Michael
not the
Burnham,
same,
dumbass.
are not the same, is simple one word: aspirationalism. These new
Yeah.
shows are not aspirational at
Not at
all. They
all.
want to
It's
drag
just
you
angry
back
black woman.
entirely.
How dare you even
Exactly.
think, white man?
They want to drag you back entirely to modern
Yeah.
day problems, modern day
Yeah.
issues. And yes, sure, the other shows would talk about them. They would do it
Yeah,
subtly
but
some most of the time.
they're beyond it
And they,
though. That's
there's even
Roddenberry's vision.
episodes. Exactly. There's even episodes. That's where I was going. In where they go back in time, and you have the episode where they show the riots that ended most of these problems, uh, where the people had finally had enough of it and buried it. And then there was the
Yeah.
law that was passed. I want to say in like the 2050s or 2060s in their timeline, basically outlawing anybody, making it so you weren't allowed to be punished or held accountable for the actions of your ancestors. And the idea was to bury the hatchet effectively.
Yeah.
Everybody's done something. Everybody's ancestors have done something. We can't keep living this way. We need to look forward, and that was the idea. Um, and all of that is stuff they would never do today because they don't want to aspire to a world where we put our differences aside and come together. They want to aspire to a world where they get to lecture and cajole and preach at you
Yeah.
nonstop, and you will bow in supplication or you will be told to shut up and beat, white man.
Yeah,
That's what they want.
fucking hubris, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sheer fucking hubris. Yeah. Sheer fucking hubris that one of the most important people in the history of your organization is asking for a favor. How dare he?
Yeah, I know.
How
It's the
dare he?
most insane thing. It's frickin' Admiral
He
Picard.
literally he literally saved the fucking entire timeline multiple times, and he can't
Yeah.
have a ship. I think we can suffer him one ship, guys. Calm
Yeah.
down.
No, it was such hatred that whole thing. That's why Picard sucks.
Yes.
It sucks. People said it got a little bit better later. I don't
Well,
care.
apparently the third season is basically just the eighth season of the Next Generation, effectively.
Well, they did
What
give
I
him
hear.
the Enterprise D back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they've went and finished some unfinished business, I guess. But
And they
yeah,
did
no, I
connect it. Now, let's be fair. When I forget which movie it was, but they did crash the saucer section into a planet, and getting
that's First
the
Contact.
yeah, okay.
No,
But
that's Generations.
Picard,
That's Generations.
in Picard season 3, they did show them repairing it on that planet and getting it back into space for
Yeah,
him to have Enterprise D back. So that was cool. That was cool.
yeah, no,
But this discovery, this literal STD, um, is
which is amazing
just
that that's what they called it.
oh, they're so stupid. It's so stupid. It's exactly how to not write a hero character.
Correct.
And the dumb thing about it is you do realize we've had female captains before, we've had important female characters all along.
Female admirals, even in the
Yes.
Next Generation, female
In
admirals.
many sci-fi things.
Yeah,
And this concept that we got to have a woman in charge, and of course a black woman, as if Uhura never existed,
right.
right? And all the other little black ladies in the background in that show. But anyway, let me move on. This right here, oof,
Luke Besson's Dracula trailer drops. Sets July 30th release. Another
soon.
Dracula movie?
Well, now this is Luc Besson. Now, Luc
Hmm.
Besson, of course, for most of you, is famous for the Fifth Element, right?
Yeah, I
He
love the
did
Fifth
that movie
Element.
Lucy, which I actually enjoyed with Scarlett Johansson or
Yeah, it's
Johansson.
okay.
Yeah,
It's okay.
it was fun, little popcorn movie. Fifth
Yeah,
Element's a great movie though.
it is.
um, so this is Luc Besson. It's that dude. And he's decided to do a reimagining of Dracula in modern day Paris, not London, of course, being a Frenchman. I have to say, I kind of like the poster. It's very French, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Um,
We'll see. It's
yeah.
a shame. You know me, I would almost never ask for this, but it's a real shame we never got more Fifth Element. I love that world that he built.
It was
That was
cool as
so
shit.
it was
Yeah.
so cool.
It is unfortunate, and of course, he tried to do that very popular French comic that came out, and
Yep.
it was bad. It was
Yes, it
bad.
was.
It had some nice visuals to it, but the casting, dude, it was wrong. It was wrong, wrong. Whereas the Fifth Element casting, you can't get much better than that.
Yep.
I mean, it was just right. And Mila, she's not the best actress, but her playing Lilu Dallas is exactly the right level for her acting. Just like Keanu in John Wick. Don't let him talk too much, right?
Yep.
But Fifth Element was great. Anyway, I thought we'd look at the trailer. What do you say?
Let's do it.
We're doing it. Let's see. This is Luc Besson, French Dracula.
Man, talk about a character, boy.
And
Has
Dracula
there been a character with more
endures, baby.
iterations than Dracula?
There's so many renditions, dude.
Than Vlad the Impaler?
Tell me your story.
And of course, it's Christopher Waltz or Christoph Waltz.
Christoph. Which is better? Sounds better than
For
Christoph.
100 years
Well, that's how
now,
you pronounce it.
I asked the priest that God spare my wife.
Nice. I like the aesthetics.
Yeah, it looks
Looks
good.
good.
This is so different from Luke too. I mean, because usually he gives us sci-fi stuff, right?
Yep.
That was a nice scene with the flowing cloak.
That was sick, yeah. Oh,
Tell your God, my life no longer belongs to him.
Since then, I've lived on waiting for her return.
My master.
Oh,
He's
it
been
looks
looking for his
great,
beloved
dude.
For more than 400
it
years.
does.
It's actually showing the old London Bridge how it used to be. That's neat.
He comes to find his princess.
This man is the devil. Mina's in danger.
I don't know. Might be good, dude.
Repent.
It looks pretty
French
good.
Dracula, man.
She is my son.
Especially with the kind of sexualization of Dracula, a French version makes even more sense, really.
I was thinking the same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the feel.
But you are her damnation.
Huh. I'm gonna have to watch that one.
Yeah, it don't look bad. It don't look bad.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I when I saw, because I of course watch these trailers with you guys. I don't watch them ahead of time, but because I like Luke's stuff. What was the name of that? Always forget the name of it. He did La Femme Nikita as well. He's pretty famous for that. What was the French comic one he did? My brain's farting on me.
Valerian? It was a Valerian?
Valerian, yeah,
The one
Valerian.
who did it?
Um, that was a absolute fumble, right?
I wonder if that was on him or if it was on the studio, though.
It doesn't matter. It falls on him nevertheless, right? I
Yeah.
mean, good or bad. But so yeah, it was a Mobius story as well. Thank you, Roger. But I do like his sensibility. So yeah, I'm going to check it out. And he knows what he's doing. He is a proper director. Um, and like I said, last thing I remember watching from him was Lucy, and yeah, I liked it. Nice little popcorn movie. with Scarlett. It's one
It's
of
not
the
bad.
yeah, it wasn't bad. Anyway,
Looks good. Has a good aesthetic. That's what you want.
yeah, yeah. And like I said, it is a very French poster, but I do like it.
And I would love for somebody to have the balls to make a proper Vlad the Impaler movie where he's the hero of the film.
Oh, killing Turks? Sure.
Yeah, putting their heads on pikes and shit.
Yeah,
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 let's
he
do it.
was brutal. He was brutal. Anyway,
He had to be.
let's go ahead and take a look at our box office mojo as we do every week. See if there's anything here. Lilo and Stitch. Let's see how it's doing here. It's around almost 400 million. Um,
I
so
don't know what the
it
budget
might make
was, but
money.
I bet it probably will, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a shame because this movie doesn't deserve to make money. If any of the rumors we've
No.
heard about it are true, this is an abomination unto God, this thing.
Yeah. No. It's not at all Lilo and Stitch. It's not. The point was about family. This is about anti-family. But
Yeah.
the young kids, they don't know that. They probably haven't seen the original Lilo and Stitch.
Which is why they're making these things, is to
That is,
erase
it is
the
generational stuff.
only good things that they ever did.
Okay, we're up to $225 million. Not enough. Do you think this will creep
Well,
into a breaking even?
here's why it probably will. This movie was made during the pandemic. There are still credits out there they can get from the federal government.
Maybe.
Huge ones, huge
Yeah.
grants they can get that will basically that's how they made money on the last one. They had one of those grants, and apparently it covered it and pushed them over the top,
Oh,
so
that's
it was
nice.
profitable.
Well, and you could
Um,
tell this was done during the pandemic. You could tell by the way they shot it. Yeah.
yes, so that's probably what's going to happen here, and it'll end up making its money. But I honestly think this is going to be one of those movies because the original Mission Impossible didn't make a ton of money in the box office, if I remember correctly. It it was one of those movies that caught fire later, right? It
Yeah.
was big syndication. It was always on TV, constantly. So it was a big syndication movie, and stuff like that, which
Mhm.
happens, right?
Yeah, sure.
In this modern era with streaming and this co-streaming stuff, it's actually, I don't know why Hollywood's agreeing to it because it's fucking them. They don't get the same benefits that they would get from before because you don't have the perennial syndication contracts that are as big as they used to be, and it's just basically free money for them because they're just giving away something they've already made or selling something they've already made. Uh, I don't really understand the functionaries of it. It's probably why they're losing so much damn money, to be honest. But this movie is one of those movies that they're banking on being a long burn.
Yeah.
They were with the other
Yeah.
one too. They even said that they knew what they were doing. And Tom's trying. I mean, I still need to go see this, but to give him credit, he's trying. He's trying his damnedest to save Hollywood, to save the movie experience,
He
to
is.
save, the big screen as something big and grand. But unfortunately, Tom, as the people who made all the wagon wheels learned back in the old late
Yep.
1800s, sometimes industries just end.
Yep.
And I
Things
really
change.
think this one is just that's just where we're at. It's not gonna be long now, Chester. Within a decade, maybe 15 years at most, where I can just type in 2 or 3 words into a computer and have a full feature length film, completely unique, original, or mostly so to whatever I typed,
Yeah. No,
and that would just be what I have.
entertainment is shifting. It's
Yep.
definitely going to shift in the next decade without question. And matter of fact, it's probably going to shift a lot quicker than we think, because we're seeing the progression of AI moving at stellar speed anyway. And with
Yep.
AI at the point it is, it's going to just increase the rapidity of leveling up more and more. So yeah, no, it probably isn't even a decade, dude. Maybe 4 or 5 years. It's
Right.
insane. But so, and of course, in a way, it's kind of exciting because we really can't. I don't think you can predict what the future of entertainment is going to look like right now.
No, you can't.
And that's interesting. Um, and for me, the quicker we can get rid of all these damn actors, the better.
Yeah,
Yeah, let them fall
I
back to
agree.
their little niche theater plays. Go do that. Go away. Because
I
I'm sick and tired of
agree.
them. Go
Full
ahead.
agreement.
Yeah.
Full agreement. Full
Yeah.
agreement. No arguments here. If we can get more like Tom, where he refuses to get involved in political stuff, and he just really wants to make good films for the
Mhm.
people. Fun films, right?
Fun
That's what
film.
he's very obviously that's what he wants to do. We get more like him, cool. But I really don't. I just don't see. There's the genie's out of the bottle. I mean, you
It
saw what the
is. It is.
new thing can do. It's just we're not far.
Yeah.
Imagine, Chester. Imagine when AI video games become reality. Like,
Yeah.
and what I mean by that is not video games where they generate stuff with AI. I mean, I talk to an AI and be like, "Hey, I want to do this today in this setting with this aesthetic,
Yeah.
right?"
Or
And
just
boom,
playing
now I'm doing it.
right.
Now I'm
Or
doing it.
just playing a game where you're actually talking to the NPCs.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, we already
We're
seen
getting
the
dangerously close to the holodeck. We're
yeah,
getting
no, we are.
dangerously
And
close.
we've already seen the inception of that with the rogue creation of the AI Skyrim, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely coming. Now this right here, ballerina, and they got to make sure John Wick, John Wick, John Wick, ballerina. Of course, it made 51 million. I hope they spent as little money as possible making this, and you would think they'd be smart enough to do so, because I have zero interest,
No, I
zero
have no interest
interest.
in this at
I
all.
mean,
It's a shame they even made it.
it is because I mean, John Wick is Keanu Reeves and it's
Correct.
his series. Now, if you wanted, like they did the Continental, trying to show where kind of an earlier version of the Continental, but they went wokey with it. If you just gave us a little bit more of the cosmology, maybe you could do something fun with that. But you know, this is it's simply a Keanu Reeves, um, engine is what it is. I don't
Right.
need other things.
Correct.
It's not like Keanu Reeves did some little story out of Tolkien's universe or something, Star Wars or something. I don't, that's not what this is. This is a Keanu Reeves story engine. I don't need anything else. I
Right.
just don't, and so I could care less. I hope they didn't spend a
Yeah.
lot of money on it, is all I'm saying.
I don't think that they did.
I would hope not,
Um, I would hope not as well. But
because
we'll
this
see.
is this is not going to have legs at all. Not have, and of course another problem it's going to have is the fact that people are in absolute woke fatigue,
Yes.
and just the fact that it's a female lead is going to put people off without even watching it, right? And it's not even the actress's fault, or it could be a great movie. It's just people are like, oh, another female lead. There, it's just that
Yep.
instant woke fatigue is in
Yep.
place, and you've kind of screwed female actresses, the actresses for quite a while. I think
Yep.
you've
Screwed
screwed
the
them.
pooch. Screwed
And
the pooch. The
it'll
pooch
take
has
a
been
while.
screwed.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? Let me see here. Karate Kid Legends. Not, of course, I'm not surprised by that. Holy crap! Final Destination Bloodlines. Look at that, dude. They're in the black for sure. Look at that.
Looks that way, don't it?
Oh no, the Final Destination series are cheap horror movies, dude. There's no way they're not making money with this already. I mean, they probably spent 50 million on this.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so they're like 50 million in the pocket right now or more. That's I didn't know. I didn't expect that hit, huh? Holy crap.
It's Final
Um,
Destination. I think they usually do decent.
yeah. Let's see here. Dan, Evil Eye.
Yeah.
I've heard
I'm
of it.
going to
I
see
don't.
that tomorrow.
Oh, cool. It's not making money at all. Let's not
Well,
look at that.
it's yeah, it is. It's making all kinds of money because all that is the first 3 episodes of the new season of the anime that's
Oh, I
coming out
see.
next month.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, yeah, they do this. They did this with the other one. They take the first 3 episodes, or I think it's the first 3, and just release them as a movie, hour and a half movie or whatever.
Wow.
And yeah, so that's what that's gonna be. I'm
Look at
going to see it
that,
tomorrow.
dude. The new Avengers, aka Thunderbolts.
Uh-huh.
Oh, dude, that lost money hard, man. Look at that.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
sad.
And it's
Sad,
again,
sad.
I'm sorry to tell them. I know they don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. It's because look who's front and center on that poster. It's because it's just another movie about another woman that nobody cares about.
Yeah, and it's not even Florence Pugh's fault. It's not her
No, she's
fault.
fine.
But yeah, it's no one
And
cares
she
about
seems
this
like a
character.
decently nice, kind
She
lady too.
seems,
She doesn't
yeah,
seem
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's not her
It's just
fault.
it's just Disney continues to do this. They continue to shove these characters and these females down our throat. We continue to tell them we don't want them, and they just keep doing it. And everybody's
Yeah.
just like, "No, I don't." They're
Well,
about to do it with Fantastic Four. Did you see? The reports are coming out now that we were completely correct.
I know.
Sue Storm is going to end up the leader of the Fantastic Four.
Well,
The
there's
leader.
more. Yeah, no, she is the leader, and more information
Yeah.
has come out. Not only is she the leader of Fantastic Four, she's the leader of the world because she is the United Nations, whatever they call the main speaker there.
Yep.
She is that in the movie. She's a world leader, and of course Reed Richards, that stupid man, is just a little cuck simp that can't do anything about his wife telling him what to do. Which is like, yeah, that was in the comics, and they're arguing. It's like, well, Sue, it's always been important. Yep, she has.
Yep.
She's the glue that keeps them together, but she's not Reed
She's
Richards.
mom.
She's mom, yeah, and a good mom. um, a mom that's willing to sacrifice herself for her family. I
That's
guarantee
right.
you this one isn't, right? And of course, they've completely simped out Johnny Storm, 100%. And like I said, Ben Grimm's hardly even in it at all. And I actually saw an article mentioning that the Ben Grimm guy who's playing him, his voice is at a higher pitch than the actress playing Sue Storm. She literally has a lower voice than him. And of course, all Ben Grimm does in the movie, for the most part, is whinge and whine and cook.
Yes.
So, yay, let's go see that.
And apparently Ben's barely even in it. Like you were
He's
saying, like
hardly in
it's
it.
just
He's
yeah,
hardly in it
it's not the Fantastic Four.
at
It's
all.
everything we were worried about.
And then
Why
of
we didn't
course,
want this.
around the same time, we're getting Ironheart, which no one wants that shit. They don't even want that shit. They're just trying to. Honestly, they should have shelved that dude. I mean, they
Yeah.
should have the same thing that Warner Brothers did and shelved that stupid Batwoman crap. It was waste of money, but oh well. Um, that's just another nail in the coffin, dude.
Yep.
Because we've seen the trailer, we've seen all the smoke coming out about Ironheart, and it's just another angry black woman yelling at the white people. That's all it
Right.
is. She's so much better than Tony Stark. Even Bob Iger came out and told us that she is a better version of Tony Stark. Even he told us this, right?
Correct.
And she's just another angry black woman. She looks like a dude. So, is she a lesbian? What would you say the chances are she's a lesbian?
Oh, but I mean,
Let's
I'm going
play.
to be generous. 55%.
Yeah,
55% chance.
I think go higher
I'm
because
being generous.
she looks like a dyke.
Being generous. I'm being generous. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
55%.
And of course, people have woke fatigue, but they also got the ghetto fatigue, which are connected, to be honest with you. So yeah, no, Disney's not in good waters, dude. They're not. And of course,
Yeah.
no one really is. None of these big AAA companies are really have anything coming that people are excited about. Warner Brothers got their Superman coming, but there's controversy all around it. And we've seen the trailer, and it's not encouraging, right?
Right.
They keep talking about the Avengers Doomsday. I don't give a shit at all. I'm not interested at all. Especially, it's actually worse that you have Robert Downey Jr. coming back and playing Doctor Doom, because I want Doctor Doom. I don't want your knockoff angry Tony Stark becomes the bad guy. And I don't even think they'll do that. He's probably going to be right and justified in the end or something. I want the egotist, absolutely devastating villain that is Doctor Doom, and I'm not going to get it.
Yes.
I'm not going to get it.
No, you're not. We're never going to get it. Just like we're never going to get Lex Luthor. We're never going to get any of these villains because the people writing them and directing them are pussies. What you need, Chester, you want Lex Luthor, you want Doctor Doom. You need people who live through some shit. You need some
Yeah,
actual men with some hair on their balls,
Yeah, yeah,
who
yeah.
can actually make a woman have an orgasm without paying her to pretend like she did.
Oh my god.
You need men to write those characters because only men understand the dark masculine that they are, right?
Sure.
They're dark fathers.
Controlled
That's what
rage.
they are.
Yeah.
Yes, men understand that. Real men understand that. But they can't make that character because that character scares the living shit out of these little pussy boys. Scares that they would wet themselves if they met a man like that in real life, and they probably have.
Oh yeah.
Men like that probably bullied the shit out of them in high school.
Probably.
So they have no way. There's no way they're gonna create that character and glamorize that character enough to make him a proper villain. Because the truth of the matter is, you want to make a villain a proper villain, you have to give him his time. You got to let him shine. He's got to get all kinds of glammed up, right? One of the reasons why Thanos worked is because
He
we spent a
wins.
decade building him up, and he wins the first go around. He beats that ass. Beats that ass.
He did.
So you gotta let the villain have his moment. He's got to be able to shine. It's got to be total and absolute victory for the villain, or at least it needs to appear that way for the villain. And seeing as these guys are incapable of not only writing good heroes anymore, they're incapable of writing good villains, which I think is the same problem.
Yeah.
Um, you'll never get Doctor Doom on the big screen as long as Disney owns him being Doctor fucking Doom. Victor Von Doom is a Chad. He's an evil one, but he is one, and he knows it. He's not ashamed of who he is in any shape or form, at least not in that way. He's incredibly vain and incredibly powerful. Incredibly powerful. He's basically a dark John Wick. He's a man of pure will. He wills himself to become this unbelievably powerful force.
Yeah. No, Doctor Doom's a
And
great bad guy. He's a great bad
they
guy.
can't do that. They can't do that. They don't have the creativity, they don't have the life experience. Those sorts of men exist. Those sorts of men absolutely exist. And now obviously they don't get magical powers, at least we don't think they do, but they exist. That
Yeah.
that
Well,
personality type exists, and they
y-
can't do it. They're
you,
too afraid of it.
I do have to get out of here because I got to go to work. But I'll say this in
Yep.
regards to Doctor Doom: an easy movie series adaptation for Doom would be this. You have all these little storylines you're doing with your heroes, and there's this constant thing of these cybernetic or android units that are showing
Yep.
up and creating consternation, right? And
Mhm.
they find little details along the way that of course it's science, but then they also have a realization that there's some magic involved as well. And
Yep.
little by little you find out that Dr. Doom is the one behind this and he has some grand scheme. That's the easy way to introduce him, right? Easy. Just like the comics. But
And
nevertheless,
you have Victor Von Doom be present the whole time, you just don't know it's him doing it, which
yeah,
obviously
sure,
we would know it, but
sure.
the regular audience doesn't necessarily know that it's him doing it. Or maybe the audience can know that it's him doing it, but the heroes wouldn't know. And he can be Victor Von fucking Doom. Like, let him be that guy.
Yeah.
It's the same thing they need to do with Lex, this new Superman movie. That's not Lex Luthor. He's another dweeb. He's just a dweeb. He's a taller
Well,
dweeb than the last one, and he doesn't look like, your Jewish stereotype like Sandberg does, but he's just a tall dweeb. He's
yeah.
not he's not
Well,
Lex Luthor. Lex is a fucking alpha.
Well, yeah, he is an alpha. And of course, this Superman movie is basically about James Gunn's angst with the world and online trolls. That's what it's about, right?
Right.
It's an anti-Trump thing, really. And
Yep.
all the memeology and all that stuff that's come out of that movement that led us to Trump, it's his disgust and revivaling of that idea. That's what the movie's about. So, Anyway, I gotta go
Yeah.
though, dude. So take us out of
Get
here.
out of here, Chester. You gotta get out of here. You gotta quit jerking around. I
I
got one.
know.
I got another one for you,
Okay.
Chester. I got one. Hang on. Where's it at? Where's it at? Wait, I don't see it, so I'm just gonna do this one. It's one I came up with in December, and it's the one you like. When you feel unworthy, happiness just makes you sad.
Oh, namaste. Later, everybody.